Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel Roam with Romy, where I talk about life, love, and culture. Trigger warning, this video is going to be a very sensitive video. It is going to deal with sexuality and abuse. So if these two things are very sensitive to you, I would highly recommend that you exit out of this video right now. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Today's video is probably going to be one of the most disturbing videos that I have covered. I know I say that in a lot of my case studies. However, it's like the more that I dive into these type of topics, the more disturbing that things get. I know that this video may save many lives. Not only that, but it may confirm and reveal things to a lot of you who are dealing with certain issues similar to the creator that I'm going to cover today. Although I have never been physically abused, I have in a past relationship been mentally abused. And I think that for me, I relate so much to a lot of the stories that I cover because I have heard some of those things about myself in past relationships, such as you're worthless, you're not anything, no one's gonna want you, using me for my money, using me for what I have. That type of abuse was something that I definitely encountered in my 20s. Growing up, we've all been taught different things. And I know that culture plays a large part in our upbringing and also our beliefs and our way of life. As I've gotten older, one thing that I have been reconciling is that maybe what I've been taught in the past is not necessarily the right way to approach things. And I will say that there are a lot of people struggling in this world, a lot of people who have been through horrific traumatic experiences, whether in childhood or adulthood. Now, today's case study is going to feature a very popular couple. They were on Snapchat, they were also on TikTok, and one of them was actually very popular on YouTube. This couple in particular consists of a beautiful young woman by the name of Kayla and her ex-boyfriend Evan Johnston. Now, their story involved a lot of abuse, a lot of allegations, and also what I believe was repressive homosexual behavior. There are a lot of patterns that are similar in a lot of my case studies. And what I've noticed is that there's definitely a correlation between gender-based violence and men who have repressed sexual issues. Essentially, a lot of these men live double lives. Living a double life as a homosexual man, however you present yourself as straight and try to date women to cover that, they usually call it living on the down low.
Made the decision to tell my family. Called my older brother, and he insisted. He's like, Bridget, what is going on? You have to tell me now.
That would be you.
That would be Lee. And I told him what was going on. He's like, Bridget, he's like, as soon as you get off the phone, I want you to ask him this question. You ask him, how many men have you had sex with?
So did you do that?
I did.
You then went home and said to your husband, how many men have you had sex with? What did he say?
He said 2. What was the relationship? Was it just like in passing? Did you have a relationship with them? And he had a relationship with them. And I'm like, how long were these relationships? Who are they? Where are they? And there were these men looking for men websites, cruising for men websites. And I went and clicked on the websites, and I was speechless.
Ted Haggard's fall from grace made national headlines. As president of the National Association of Evangelicals, he had millions of followers. But in 2006, his career as a spiritual leader ended abruptly when it was revealed that he had had a sexual relationship with a male prostitute.
You find a person of the opposite sex, and you make a lifelong commitment to them.
Ted Haggard seemed to be a devoted husband. He was married with 5 children and pastor of Colorado's New Life Church, but he was living a double life.
He had a relationship with me. We had gay sex.
It was never a question for me whether I was going to stay with Ted because, first of all, I love him deeply, and I knew that we had a very real relationship.
So there is a degree of choice, human responsibility, but there's another degree of intrinsically who you are.
Personal responsibility wasn't to deny you. Your personal responsibility was not to lie about it. That was your personal responsibility. That's it.
Living on the down low, and the reason why these men feel like they need to live on the down low is there are various reasons, right? Now, I'm not going to go into religion and religious theory and also people's personal beliefs. That is your personal belief. However, what I'm trying to do is highlight a problem. And it is that a lot of men are repressing their sexuality. And we have to talk about this, y'all. When we have this kind of condemnation and we say that, okay, God's going to fix you and make it better. But then these men are repressing their sexual desires and they don't know how to reconcile it. The reasons why a lot of men hide their homosexual nature and repress their sexuality is because of homophobia in families and communities. We have religious shame, hyper masculinity in culture, the fear of being labeled or rejected. No matter what you believe or what you think, the problem is here. It still exists. And there are a lot of men living double lives, and they're living their lives in secret. And not only that, but they also have a self-hatred that is so deep that they tend to take it out on vulnerable women and children. And I could go deeper into this, but I think that for the purposes of this case study that I want to get into, I think that's enough of a background story before we get into the main story, which is what happened between Kayla Mellick and Evan Johnston. So Kayla Mellick, she's been on social media for a while now. She is a young woman. I believe she is a 20-year-old woman, 19 or 20. She's very extremely young. And Evan is a 20-year-old man. Kayla's TikTok currently has 15.8 million followers. So sis got a following. Her YouTube channel has 1.78 million subscribers. I believe that she started her social media page when she was in high school, if I'm not mistaken. And she blew up. She's had a lot of subscribers, a lot of followers. And she got into a relationship with Evan Johnston about a year ago. On social media, they posted cute videos of themselves.
We're about to jump in with the shark. At least we're not first. We're watching them go first.
So your camera be like, look, this lady said, don't come back.
If y'all don't hear from me in 2 hours, it was pretty bad.
In 2 hours.
If you don't hear from us in 2 hours, we dead. My ligaments might be floating in the water. That was the egg. That was the egg. We're about to jump in the water with the sharks. You see it? Oh my god. You influencer. You. Get it. Look. We're the second group to go. I'm so effing excited. This is literally so exciting. All the way out there's the end of the rainbow. Oh my god. Ew. You look so sexy next to that rainbow. Fruity ass. We're up in like 5 minutes. We're about to jump.
Guess the artist from the AI image.
Cherry, ice cherry. Hot chili peppers. That's close.
Ice Cube.
Is it a cherry? Chili peppers.
Hot chili peppers.
I already said that. You can't take my answer. Spice Girls. Oh, God.
Is this bitch for real? Can you guess the artist from the AI image?
Cherry, ice cherry. Hot chili peppers.
And everyone thought that they were just a young couple in love. Y'all know how people love couple goals. So they were definitely hashtag couple goals for the young girlies in her age group. And you could tell that they were affectionate towards each other as far as you could see in the videos. And I'm sure a few people were envious of their relationship. That's usually the case with these type of couples. However, what was going on in the background was the most sinister, toxic, horrific, violent experience that any woman should ever have to go through, especially a 19-year-old woman. Now, again, if y'all didn't take heed to the trigger warnings that I said in the beginning of the video, this is my final trigger warning. Trigger warning. The story that I'm about to share right now is going to be very hard for a lot of you to swallow. I also have a lot of videos, so please exit the video if you are unable to listen to this. Everyone thought that their relationship was going well until Kayla released a video about a month ago titled "He Doesn't Love You Part 1." In this video, Kayla goes into extensive detail about her relationship with Evan, and what was portrayed on social media was far from what was really going on in the background.
This is probably going to be one of the, I don't even know how to start this. I'm going to try my hardest to get through this. I have been in arguably one of the worst mentally, physically abusive relationships I could ever imagine. Something I never thought that I would be experiencing, things I've only seen on TV, things that I've heard stories about, and things that I just knew I would never let happen to me. And I've been going through it for the past 9 months. This is probably one of the hardest things I've had to like talk about in my life. There's not a single person in my life that knows the full story. There's not, my parents don't know, my sister doesn't know, my best friends don't know. Nobody knows the true extent of what I was put through. And I ask the universe every day, why me? Like, why did I go through this? Like, why me? Why was I put through this? Why me? And I truly think that it's to help other people. I think I was put in this position to not share my story, but to share yours. At the end of the day, this isn't about me. This is such a bigger picture to what millions of women go through. This is not my story. This is your story. This is not about me. This is about you. This is about us as people. And I hope that this can help somebody, because honestly, I don't want to cry. If 6 months ago I had seen a video like this, I would have saved my life. It would have saved my life.
I watched both of her videos, and both videos were about 2 hours long almost, so total 4-hour long videos. And I'm going to summarize parts 1 and 2 and insert the important clips in here. Now, mind you, y'all, she was 19 years old when this happened. So in the beginning of her video, she said that she endured 9 months of abuse from her ex. She said that she will provide receipts in the videos, and she did, y'all. She provided a lot of receipts, y'all. She provided so many receipts that I personally think that I want you guys to go watch the video yourselves in its entirety. And that's the reason why I'm going to just summarize it, because I think that she deserves the views. She said that in May of last year, so this was all in 2024, she had moved to California with her best friend Emma. And Emma had just met somebody, and that person had a friend. So y'all know when people are young, they have like, you know, a guy that they're dating, and then his homeboy who's single, and then they're like, oh, okay, I can match you up with him. So then she matched her up with the guy's friend. And so when they all met, they were going to go to Nashville to meet each other. At the time, Kayla was not looking for a relationship. She had just gotten out of a 3-year relationship the year prior in 2023. And so she said to herself that she was just going to meet him and just maybe have a little bit of fun, but she wasn't planning on getting into anything serious. And so during that time when she met the man who would become Evan, she FaceTimed him for about a week, and then she headed to Nashville to go meet him. Now, I understand that, you know, young girls are dating, and sometimes we have this kind of hookup culture where we just kind of casually meet each other. I just think, though, that I wish that she had taken a little bit more time. And again, we're not going to victim blame her because her situation happened the way that it happened. But for the rest of you, if you find yourself getting out of a relationship, she said 3 years, and she's 19, 20. So she must have been with the other guy from the ages of probably 16, 17, which is fairly young. That's very young. I didn't hear anything about her going to school. I didn't hear anything about her trying to pursue something. I just heard her just saying that she got out of a 3-year relationship. So that leads me to believe that she was just a social media influencer. These young people, they are making money, y'all. Having millions of followers, that's going to get you a lot of money. Way more than a traditional job would. So I could understand why she went down that career path. However, what I will say is that For my young ladies watching out there, you got to have a backup plan. So she goes on to say that she thought it would be a hookup, but she caught feelings near the end of the trip. And she fell head over heels for him, y'all. Whew. All right, so mind you, she just got out of a 3-year relationship, so she's very sensitive. And she's probably thinking like, oh, this man, you know, he's showing me attention. He's being very nice. And she's starting to catch feelings for your boy. She said that he was like a frat guy. Red flag. All right, frat boys, y'all. Listen, I don't want the frat boys coming from me, because every video there's somebody who comes from me. It would be the gamers, the pastors, somebody. But what I would say is, frat boys, I just think that maybe a reformed frat boy probably will have a little bit more to offer, but a young 20-year-old, I guess at the time he was 19-year-old frat boy, I don't see what's so redeeming about that, to be honest with you. I think that the culture is for them to drink a lot and always be with their friends. I'll just say this, y'all. Frat boys are probably not the best type of men that you should date, especially when you're a young woman. If you want a guy to take you seriously, listen, I would just say that. Now, she said that he was a frat guy. He didn't care about anybody, but he cared about her. That's a big red flag, y'all. The fact that she said that he didn't care about anybody, so he got a stank attitude. He got a bad attitude. He don't care about nobody. And I know some women think that that's cute. Like, oh, he be mean mugging everybody, but he friendly to me. No, that's not something to be proud of. That's not it, y'all. That ain't it, sis. That ain't it. I would say that a frat boy, especially if he's not friendly to everyone and he's not nice to everyone, but only nice to you, that's a red flag. That means he wants something from you. You have to ask yourself, what makes you so special that he wants to be nice to you but mean to everyone else? It's not really a good character quality, in my opinion. She said that he told her he had a lot of bodies and been with so many women and was a player. That's a big red flag. That lets me know that he was trying to overly show that he was masculine. And again, he's a frat boy. So he already has the frat boy attitude. He already has that, oh, I don't care about anybody. He's been with a lot of women and he's a player. That's from the hyper masculine playbook. And when you have a man, remember what I just went through before, the DL man, right? So when you have a man who's trying to play up extra to his manliness, that's usually a red flag to look out for more. This lets you know that he's not comfortable in his masculinity, so he is adopting the behavior of what he sees in the media and on television and what he has seen other boys do around him to try to prove himself and prove to you that he's the man, I'm the man. But in actuality, he's just a little boy trying to gain approval of being seen like the man, the tough man. Oh yeah, I'm a man, I'm a man. And usually that shows me he's not comfortable in his own identity. That's a huge red flag, y'all. So she said that she felt special that he chose her. Again, like she just got out of a relationship. And then she said that she felt important and wanted because he was paying all this attention to her and not anyone else. And there's something else that she said that we need to note here. She said she was in a fragile state because she had had an abortion about a month prior.
We spent 4 days together, and it was just great. And I, near the end of the trip, had cotton feelings, and I didn't want to. But I just genuinely felt head over heels for this guy. He was just like this fratty, like, the best way to describe him, he was just like this frat guy, you know? And he didn't care about anybody, but for some reason he cared about me. And it made me feel like the most special person in the room. Like, knowing that he could have anybody he wanted, and he would tell me these stories of how he had over 100 bodies, and he was just this player, and da-da-da, but, oh, he's sitting here with me on this houseboat, you know? He's posting me on his story. And it just made me feel really special for these 4 days. And it made me feel really important and wanted. And a huge factor before this, off topic, I'm gonna pause this here, I was just in a very fragile state during this time because about a month prior to this, about 2 months prior to this, I had found out I was pregnant, and I had to go through an abortion, and it was one of the most traumatizing things in my life, and that is not what this story is about. But I was just very fragile because that was my last experience with a guy.
My heart goes out to her because I know that having an abortion is such a traumatic experience for a lot of women. So my heart goes out to her that at such a young age, she had to do that for herself. And again, no matter how you feel about it, at the end of the day, she made that decision. And it's not an easy decision for her to make. I'm sure it wasn't. And you can tell that she was probably in a vulnerable state because all of these emotions are coming out. And we're going to find out that she was dealing with this stuff by herself, y'all. She didn't have anybody around her. And so I truly felt for her in that moment because there's a lot of things that come with being a young woman. Imagine she's 19 years old, y'all. And I remember myself at 19 years old. And I remember how hard it was for me to let my parents know what was really going on in my life and trying to navigate this world. And she's so young, y'all. And she was living on her own. She wasn't even around people like that. For real, for real. She said that she moved to California, so she was on her own. So you can only imagine what she had to go through with that. And mind you, he's the first man that she was with since her abortion and also the ending of her 3-year relationship. So she's in an extra vulnerable state right now because she's probably craving that attention. And instead of healing herself and trying to get through it, like through therapy or trying to fill that void within herself, she found someone to fill it for her. She said that he would post her on his story, so she felt extra special. She was geeked about that. She disclosed that she had an abortion to him and told him about her experience. And they trauma bonded. I would say that this is something I would generally not advise a lot of women to do. Do not tell these kind of things to a man. And I'm talking about any deep trauma that you have, especially to a man that you just first met. You don't know him. You do not know him. You don't know if he's going to take care of your feelings and emotionally be there to support you or if he's going to use that against you. And we have to be careful with how we share what we share with people because not everyone has good intentions, especially when you're a young woman trying to date and she's seeing the world through her eyes because in her mind, she would have good intentions if someone shared that with her, but not everyone does. And so we got to be careful with that because I used to be like that too. I used to share so many things with guys in the beginning and then come to find out they would just use it against you. So now they trauma bonded and we all know what happens when you trauma bond. You feel extra close to the person because again, you're revealing something deep and something dark and something that happened to you. And he was, comforting her and crying with her. So she felt a connection with him. Now, we going to get into other red flags. So come to find out, this man was in legal trouble. And he didn't know how long he was going to go to jail. He could get between a few months to 2 years.
And then he had told me that on that Sunday of that coming weekend, he was going to be going to court for some legal things. He didn't know how much time he'd be getting in jail. He was just in some legal trouble and he had a court date and he was going to find out how much time he was going to have in jail. It could range anywhere from 2 days to 2 years. We had no idea. So I knew that this might be my last time seeing him. And so I'm sitting there the day we flew back and this is the decision that changed my life. It's crazy. This one decision genuinely changed my fucking life. I sat there and I was like, should I fly back down for the weekend before he, goes to his court and finds out what's happening and see him one last time? Or do I stay home and leave it as it was just this hookup with a fun guy? But I had really fallen for him. So I booked a ticket and 2 days after coming back home that Thursday or Friday, I had flown back down, got an Airbnb, and I was going to see him for one final time. So we spent that whole weekend together. Once I flew down, I got my hair done, everything to look all good for him. I get down there, and it's the sparks are even bigger this time. He picked us up. I had gotten us an Airbnb. We spent the whole weekend just same thing, cliff jumping, swimming, just having a good weekend because he didn't know how long he was going to be going to jail for or if he was going to be going to jail, and I didn't know either, and I had really caught feelings for him.
She didn't disclose what he did, but it was serious enough where he could get some serious jail time. So this man was almost a felon. That already lets me know that he wasn't the best character to be with her. And unfortunately, sometimes when you're lonely and vulnerable, you can meet the wrong person. And unfortunately for her, she didn't have anyone around her to be like, hey, maybe this guy's not it. Because again, she's by herself. And she's going through these decisions. So that's why I want us to be a little bit more empathetic towards her. Because she doesn't have nobody around her. This girl was alone. going through this. And that lets me know that all of her decision-making skills were not there. She's 19. Her frontal lobe ain't even developed yet. So now this man was a felon. So far she told us he's a frat boy. He got a bad attitude. And he's like almost a felon. He's in legal trouble. So all of those three things, he should have been out the door. But she continued. She made the decision to fly back to Nashville to see him for a final time before he got locked up. And now the sparks were even bigger. Oh, Lord. So I could see why, because now there's this element of him going to jail. He's thinking he's going to jail, so he's starting to open up to her, because you know how all men are before they get locked up. They, want you to feel special so that you could write to them and send to their commissary, because he didn't know how much time he was going to get, so he needed to lock her down and be like, you going to hold it down for me? And she said that she would. And she said that they had a great weekend because she was flying back between California and Nashville, because remember, she stays in California. Now, sis went to court with him, and then he was sentenced to 22 days. And while he was in jail and locked up for 22 days, she held him down. And she said that she told him that she would wait for him, and she flew back home to wait for him, y'all. And she said she put over $500 on the jail phone so she could talk to him. So whenever he would call, she made sure that she had enough money in the books for him to call her. Then he got out of jail after 22 days. And then June 24th was the day he got out. And the day he got out, y'all, he showed her the visible red flag, because she couldn't see the other red flags. Remember, she's 19. So she couldn't see the other red flags, but this one was visible enough for her to recognize. So now he accused her of sleeping with his best friend. He called her a bitch. And she said that she had never been spoken to like that before in her life.
So that day we kind of just are drinking and hanging out. We go out to dinner and, things are fine. And we end up going back to the house and we're laying in bed talking. And he looks at me and he's like, you fucked my best friend. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he just goes on this whole rant and he's like crying to me and getting very like vocally up. And at this point in my life, I had never even been called a bitch by a past relationship. I had never been called a single name by a past relationship. I had never had a man honestly talk to me in any type of like necessarily disrespectful way. Like a man had never calling me like a bitch, a cunt, a whore, nothing to my face, ever. Or even like raise their voice at me, like really looking back at it. Like I had never had that happen. So he's like raising his voice at me and he's just accusing me of cheating on him. And I'm like, dude, I just picked you up from jail. Like I just spent $700 to fly down, pick you up from jail. Like what? Like it was just, I don't know. It was like weird. He was just like accusing me of it. And it turns into this whole thing of he just doesn't even want to sleep with me and it's our first night back. And it was just so weird. And he was just nonstop accusing me of cheating on him.
He yelled at her and accused her of doing those things. Now, I don't even need to tell y'all that's a red flag. We already know that's a red flag. She said that she had at that time spent $700 to fly down and pick him up from jail. And here he was accusing her of sleeping with his best friend. He said that he didn't even want to sleep with her because of that, because he's accusing her of sleeping with his best friend and being a whore. So now he don't want to sleep with her because of that. Red flag. Remember what I told y'all about repressing the sexuality? Because why is he accusing her of sleeping with his best friend? Unless he wants to sleep with his best friend. We're going to see. That's a theme. I'm going to tell y'all. We're going to touch the patterns here. Now, she said that she brushed off the other red flags because, she just wanted to be loved. That's literally what it was. She couldn't articulate herself really well in that aspect because she's like, I don't know why I did that. But I can tell you, sis, you just wanted to be loved. You wanted someone to love you. You wanted someone to hug you. You felt by yourself. And you needed that community around you. But again, unfortunately, you didn't have your village around you. She said she brushed it off and then she brushed off other red flags. And then she asked him to come to Cali with her. So she booked him a plane ticket to California and they went there for the 4th of July. She was invited to an influencer's house party and was excited to introduce him to people. And she introduced him to her friends and she said that she liked that he was extroverted and he seemed to get along well with everyone. Now, he got drunk. And she said that, I think they both got drunk. and that a guy came up to her and she was talking to him by the pool and was talking to him about how she met her boyfriend. Because at the time, he didn't actually make it official. We're going to learn about that after. And how he had been out of jail. So, she's there at a pool party and, some random guy comes up to her and she starts, just shooting the breeze with him. Be like, hey, I got a man, he just got out of jail. I'm here to support him. I was holding him down. I invited him to California. So it seems like she actually likes sharing with people and she likes to be in community with people. I've noticed that because she's always like talking to different people. She's extremely extroverted, y'all. And, yeah, that it would have been hard for her to be isolated, to be honest with you. I don't think she's ever been alone before. I can just tell by her story that she had probably never been alone before. So she was craving the connection with people. And so her ex or her boyfriend was watching her. He got angry and went to all of her friends and said, hey, guys, see that blonde girl over there? That's my girlfriend. She's a slut. She's a whore. She'll fuck any guy here. That's what he said to her, y'all. That's what he said to her. And you want to know what this reminds me of? Because of this case, I just might post it here. I privated the case study that I did on Cora Obidi because I was worried about getting copyrighted. But y'all, this reminds me of when Cora said that Judson did the same exact thing to her at a party. On the back end, you done had me admitted it to the psych ward. You tried to tell people I was bipolar. And then he had her admitted to a psych ward under 5150. All right, so now after her 5150, he tried to convince the psych ward and the doctors that she was bipolar, and they started to do all types of tests on her. But then I don't think she was ever diagnosed. She didn't say that in the book as far as I can see. But then she said that she was discharged and told to go home. On arriving home, she was told by Mr. J that child services was parked outside and they could take their daughter if she left the house. After her 5150 event, that they ended up going to a party. So she said, we got drunk and all I wanted was to make him happy, beg him, and pacify his anger because she's trying to keep up the image of a good, perfect marriage. Okay, so she said, Mr. J started to make a scene. Yes, bitch, he started to yell, hey guys, line up so this bitch can suck your dicks. She's good at that, They call her the headmaster. You can run a train on her. She's a whore. Hey guys. My goodness. Y'all think that I'm doing these case studies for no reason, a lot of y'all. A lot of people came after me for doing those case studies, telling me that I'm just, believing whatever. Cora said the exact same thing. Cora Obidi. Verbatim, she went through the exact same situation. And y'all want me not to believe women when they tell these stories, right? I will always believe women. I know when a woman is telling the truth. There is no reason. These are two different people from two different walks of life. Cora Obidi from Nigeria and Kayla's from America. Two different generations. Cora's in her 30s. And Kayla's in her early 20s. And yet they had the same story. There's a pattern. And this is why I do the case studies. That man said she's a slut, she's a whore, she'll fuck any guy in there. Justin said the same thing. She gonna suck all y'all dicks. That's what he said. And then y'all don't want me to believe sis's book? Okay. So now she said that he did this for an hour, just berating her, degrading her in front of everyone at the party so she could feel less than human. That's what he wanted. He wanted her to feel how he felt. Because everything that he was projecting to her, he felt about himself. Y'all gonna see what I'm talking about. So now, she said that she spent $150. So following this whole debacle, she still went out with him afterwards. She spent $150 on an Uber to go see fireworks because she wanted to go see the fireworks. It was 4th of July. She was like, look, let's let bygones be bygones. I want to see the fireworks. Then she asked him, what did she do wrong? And she said that relationships should be about communication, trying to talk things out. They were standing next to a body of water. I guess it was like a canal or something. And she said, if you're so mad at me, push me in. Why did this man push her in? And then he said sorry and he jumped in the dirty water with her because people were watching. So I guess he got embarrassed. He pushed her and got embarrassed and then acted like, oh, we was just playing. He wasn't playing, y'all. He was serious. Again, we're talking about 19, 20-year-olds here. So that's why I try to be a little bit more sympathetic towards that, because they are young, y'all. So they don't know how to emotionally deal with these kind of situations or handle them. I don't know why she said it, to be honest with you, but I don't think she actually expected him to actually do it, but he did it. Afterwards, they both apologized, and he said that it was her fault and that she's not allowed to talk to any men ever. So that was the time where he made that rule explicit. I want you to talk to any other man but me. So controlling. He went back to Nashville and then he called her with his friends. So while he was in Nashville, he met up with his other frat buddies. I done told you about these frat boys. He called her. So he called her in front of his homeboys. He called her the biggest slut he has ever met, and that her pussy is loose and how she has a lot of bodies. Degraded her in front of his friends, screaming at her, calling her those names, and accused her of sleeping with his best friend again. This man is a demon. He's a monster. He's a monster. This man literally said all of the things, again, misogynistic. So we see that coming out because, again, he's repressing his sexuality. We're going to get to that. There was a research article written, and this was a long time ago, y'all. This was in 2006, but I think the information is still relevant. Sometimes I like to go into old research articles because I like to see how different things were at that time. And y'all, this article is basically expressing everything in real time. And it was titled Hypermasculinity and Violence as a Social System by Thomas J. Sheff. So in this article, he goes over a lot of different theories of why hypermasculinity is causing massive violence and the links between them. And what he said is that there are two forms of interminable conflict, the quarrel and the impasse. Both forms may grow out of isolation and unacknowledged shame and other vulnerable emotions. Shame is pervasive in conflictual interaction, but largely invisible to interactants and to most researchers. Another concept was narcissistic rage. He viewed it as a compound of shame and rage. Angry that one is ashamed or ashamed that one is angry, then one might be ashamed to be so upset over something so trivial. The shame part particularly is rarely acknowledged, difficult to detect and dispel. Shame rage spirals may be brief, matter of minutes, but can also last for hours, days, or a lifetime as bitter hatred or resentment. In this theory, unacknowledged shame is the cause of revenge-based cycles of conflict. And now let's move on to gender differences in emotion management. Most women express vulnerable emotions more than men. Certainly, they express fear and grief more. The difference between men and women with respect to shame is probably less pronounced. However, women are more expressive of this emotion, if only obliquely. That is, women seem more likely to review the events of their day, either to themselves or with another person, than men. In doing so, they are likely to encounter one or more of the vulnerable emotions. There's a huge difference between men and women when it comes to expressing love. Men learn early on. Listen to this. This is very important, y'all. Men learn early on from their fathers and schoolmates that love, like fear, grief, and shame, is likely to be interpreted as a sign of weakness. It too is seen as a vulnerable emotion. Then they say that there's a theory of hypermasculine isolation, repression, and violence. It's all connected, y'all. This article was in 2006. 2006, y'all. So the fathers will feed into this hypermasculine archetype, and then the mothers will reinforce it by raising their sons, because both parents should be raising their sons, but as we know, majority of the time child rearing is left to the woman. And then they said a lot of women studied they tolerated abuse of self and or their children by their husbands. Now, in a more recent study that was done by sociologists, researchers at Brigham Young University and Ball State University, showed that fathers who buy into hypermasculine roles don't make the best parents. You don't say. They said that their work showed that men who strongly adhere to really traditional attitudes about masculinity are far less likely to be nurturing fathers who spend a lot of time with their children. Y'all gonna notice that. Notice that even in your own childhood, if your father was hypermasculine, chances are that he did not spend a lot of time with you. And that is according to BYU sociology professor Kevin Schaefer, who co-authored the study published in the Journal of Marriage and Family. That includes really negative things like misogynistic attitudes towards women.
First big money I ever made in my life, I first became a multimillionaire by running a webcam studio. So I had beautiful women sitting on computers talking to guys on webcams from all around the world. That's how I first made my money. And at one point, I had 75 women in 4 locations working for me, which was stressful and the wrong way to do it. I ended up removing my army and going to special forces of around 15 people, 15 girls. And me and my brother made a lot of money doing that. But the PhD course, the Fifth Ghost degree, was teaching people how I managed females in those scenarios, how I controlled their emotions, how I convinced them to work and give me most of their money, how I convinced them to share me with other women, why they obeyed me. So it was never so much about out there picking girls. It was actually something else. It was more about the psychology of things. And
I have all daughters, and I have friends that are women, and I have a lot of friends that are women in the world of stand-up comedy, and I oftentimes see misogynist shit online that shocks me. And one of the things that shocked me was there's a guy that I follow, and he was talking about how his wife, it was like a thread on Twitter, well thought out, very smart guy, he's a lawyer, and he was talking about how his wife's gas tank is always empty. It's like every time he gets in his wife's car, she's always out of gas. He's like, what the fuck? Why do I always have to get gas for you? And then she explained she doesn't like to park to get gas because she gets harassed and it creeps her out. And
it's like a man would never think about that.
Not only men never think about that, the messages he was getting from men calling him a cuck, and making excuses. Oh yeah.
Inability to emotionally connect with others, or an unwillingness to do it, not asking for help from other people, those kind of things. Men that were way higher on those kind of measures tend toward breadwinner. Okay. Those who don't score very high on those were way more likely to be warm and affectionate towards their children, way more likely to caregive, way more likely to punish in developmentally appropriate ways. So those men who are not hyper-masculine and they knew how to balance their masculinity and femininity, so they knew how to balance their masculine and feminine traits, they were better fathers than those who were, I'm the man. So he's saying all of these things to make her feel less than, because remember, when you're, the value of a woman, according to a man, is how tight she could keep her vagina and how many bodies that she's been with, because the less men you've been with, the purer you're seen to a hyper masculine, toxic masculine man. So now he's saying all of these things to her to make her feel less than a woman. Again, he feels this way about himself, but he's projecting that onto her because she's his punching bag. And she said that she had to fall asleep with him on FaceTime every night. So after he done did that whole thing in front of his homeboys, she fell asleep with him on FaceTime. He had her location, and she had to report her whereabouts to him. So now we got this abuse cycle starting. That night, she booked a plane ticket to go see him and spent $700. Remember, she's an influencer, so she has money. She's making money on her own. She doesn't need to ask mommy and daddy. She has that money herself. She spent $700 to go fly to him in Nashville to see if he still liked her. Again, she has low self-esteem at the time because of everything that's going on with her. That night, so mind you, she goes over there to try to work things out. And that night, in person, so not only on the phone, in person, he said she's a slut, she's a whore, and he had 3 girls over. So at that time, she said that he had 3 girls over. She didn't even know, but he had 3 girls over there. And then they made a TikTok and tagged her in it. Disrespectful, by the way. He did not, he hated this girl. He did not like her at all. He hated her because why? He hated himself. So how can he love her if he hates himself? He hates himself. So his behavior is just a representation of how he feels inside about himself. How a man treats you is a representation of how he feels about himself. I'm being honest, y'all. If you notice that a man is abusing you, talking to you sideways, disrespecting you, then that's how he feels about himself. Best believe that. It's all internalized. Because a happy person, a peaceful person, a person who truly loves himself will know how to love someone else. But if you don't even know how to love yourself, then of course you hate yourself. That is going to be manifested in how you treat others outside of yourself. So now she said that he started getting physically abusive after that. Yeah, because it ramps up. It starts out slowly. She documented it and he found out and deleted the footage. So she kind of went in and out of the story, but she said that she had started documenting it at this time. And she said that he tried to delete some of the footage, but she was smart to hide it in her hidden folder. And now this is where we find out that her village wasn't around her. She said at the time, her and her father were not on speaking terms. Her sister was not talking to her. She went through an abortion and no one was there. She had no community, y'all.
I'll lose you, whatever. And if you've never been in a situation like this, you most likely just are sitting here like, are you dumb? Like, he's calling you these names. He's pushed you in a lake at this, or the ocean at this point, like humiliated you. Like, why do you still care? And when you're in at this point, mentally abusive relationship, you have the highest highs and the lowest lows. And that is what gets you to stay. Because after every single bad thing he had done to me, he would wake up the next morning, act like nothing happened, give me a hug and a kiss, tell me exactly what I want to hear, and then we'd have like good days together. And at this point, my roommate was not with me. Me and my dad were not on speaking terms. My sister was not talking to me. So I was completely isolated. I had nobody to talk to besides him. I just gone through an abortion. Like, I was in a very fragile state. Like, I had nobody else really. He was the only person I would even talk to.
Sis had no community. And I said in the last video why community is important. Because now, remember, last video, I said if you try to find community within a person, so instead of going and finding community and healing yourself through that, you're going to be more susceptible to getting into relationships with these monsters. And this is in real time, y'all. This is a case study here. And now she doesn't have anyone around her. I don't plan on showing her entire video. Like I said, you guys can go and watch it on her channel because it's quite lengthy and very detailed. But sis said several times that her and her father were not in communication. She had daddy issues on top of this. And again, I've done videos on daddy issues. Y'all could go back and watch it. So now she said that it was her roommate's birthday. She fast forwarded to another incident. She flew back to LA, then she flew back to Nashville. He picked her up from the airport and was being sweet. And she said that he said he had a surprise for her, and he showed her this vanity that he got in for her because he wanted her to film her TikTok videos in the house. And so he wanted it to be very special for her when she would, go and fly to Nashville and stay with him. He even had her favorite drink and popcorn, right? Now, they had drinks in his apartment and something set him off. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. This man was, he had Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde repression. I know many of you have heard of the story of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. That's when a man has a dual personality, right? And then one personality represses the other personality. So in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the interpretations often link Hyde's existence to Dr. Jekyll's repressed sexuality, particularly homosexuality. And the story is seen as a reflection of Victorian society's anxieties about sexuality, especially homosexuality, which was criminalized and deeply stigmatized. And so they go on to say that Hyde is interpreted as a physical representation of Jekyll's repressed, unacceptable desires and urges, a way to express his hidden sexuality. And so the novel was very male-focused. And the central focus was on male characters and their relationships, which further reinforced the idea that the story explores repressed male sexuality. And this is not just in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. We also saw that in Brokeback Mountain. Classic example. And now he was getting agitated, angry, and aggressive. And she said that she's 5'4", and this man is over 6 feet tall. So he's bigger than her. He's stronger than her. He was drunk, and she asked him, where is he going? Because, he was drinking. She didn't want him to drive, so she chased after him. She opened the door to the car, and then he got angry because he couldn't leave and drive drunk. And so he ended up balling his fist at her, but he smashed the windshield. And that was the first time that she saw him physically show any signs of aggression. That night, after they went to bed, he asked her to be his girlfriend, and she said yes because she was scared. Y'all, when I tell y'all, this story just gets worse and worse. This man, he had no business being in any relationship. The only relationship he should have tried to be in was with a therapist, because he clearly has some internal issues and clear childhood traumas. We're going to get into that. So now she said she couldn't call anyone and she felt alone. Like I said, her village wasn't there, y'all. Her people weren't. No one was there. I don't know how many times I have to tell you guys, it's so important to have a good relationship with your father. And if you didn't, please go and seek help about it. You got to resolve your father issues if you plan on being with a man. I'm being honest. Because those father issues that you have will carry you in your relationship. All of the things you wanted your father to be to you, you will try to find that in a man. And they are not to be trusted, especially men like this.
August 9th, 2024, 2 days later, was the first time that he had ever gotten physical with me. This is what replays in my head every fucking night, every fucking time. Every fucking time. I even try to look a guy in the eyes. I can't because this is all I see. I'm fucking scared. Okay, sorry, I just had to take a moment. August 9th, we end up going out. It was a Friday, and so we wanted to go to Broadway, as one does on a Friday in Nashville. So we end up going out, and I remember this night almost to a T, besides what my brain has blocked off, but I know I did not get that belligerent that night. But we're having a great time. We're not fighting. We're not having any arguments, just, the casual calling me a slut, whore, or whatever, which at this point was pretty normal to me. But it was all right. So we end up leaving. I'm pretty sure it was Honky Tonk. And we get in an Uber and we're on our way back to his house. And we're in the Uber and he looks at me. And I don't know what provoked this, but he was like, "You're a slut," or something like that. And then slaps me in the face. But it wasn't a hard slap. It was kind of like a that. And I was dumb. It was kind of like a that. And I looked at him and I was like, "What the fuck did you just do?" And call me. So I get out of the Uber as it's moving. And I start just walking in any direction that I could away from it. And at this point, I had grabbed his phone because I forgot to say this. Like I say, I forget little things that he did because the big ones are just so big. But at this point, whenever we would get into a fight and he would just accuse me of being a whore and stuff, he would post on his Snapchat story and be like, "Kayla Malik is a whore. Kayla Malik is a slut." And then text girls. So at this point, whenever things would start up, I would just take his phone because he would do things like that, and I just didn't like it. But the Uber was already on the way home, and maybe it wasn't the smartest thing to take his phone, but the Uber was on the way home. I had paid for it. So I get out of the Uber, and I have his phone, I have my phone, and I walk to this the bar that we had just left. And mind you, I don't know anybody in Nashville besides him, so I have nobody to call, I have nobody to text, I have nobody to help me in this situation. Like, my boyfriend had just called me a slut and slapped me in the face in the back of an Uber, so I'm kind of in shock. And I walk up to the security at Honky Tonk, and I just start crying to them, and then I realize, and I'm like, "Oh shit, I can't tell them that my boyfriend did that to me." So I just tell them about the situation that I was going through with my dad and just start crying about that. And they're like, "Okay, well, we'll listen, but girl, call an Uber home." So I call another Uber, and then I'm like, "Oh my God, what if my boyfriend got out of the car and he's looking for me?" So I get out of that Uber and I start running down the street to Broadway looking for him. And I'm like, "Oh my God, where is he? Where is he? Like, what if he left the Uber? What if he got out of the Uber? Like, what if something bad happened?" And I can't find him. So at this point, I just stand on the corner of this bar and I just start sobbing. And this group of guys comes up to me and they're like, "Hey, are you okay?" And mind you, they're in their 30s or 40s. Me having to justify just people being decent human beings, just, I can't. Anyways, but they were 30, 40 before anybody's like, "You slut." Because I just think everybody, sorry. And they come up to me and they're like, "Are you okay?" And I'm just sobbing. And I'm like, "My boyfriend just slapped me in the face." And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "My boyfriend just slapped me in the face and called me a slut." So I got out of the Uber, I have his phone, I'm in shock right now. And he's like, "You can't go back there." And I'm like, "I don't know anybody else here." And this group of guys are just like, "You can't go back there." And I'm like, I have to, like, all my stuff's there. Like, I don't know anybody else here. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And so I end up calling an Uber on my phone, my third Uber. And I'm like, I have to go. I'm sorry. And so I end up telling this group of guys. They stayed with me until my Uber got there. And I'm just kind of sobbing to them about what had happened. And the Uber gets there and I get in the Uber. And the guy goes up to the Uber driver. He like leans over the window and he's like, do not let that girl go back to her boyfriend's house. Like, he's going to hit her. He's going to kill her. And I remember being like, I have to go back there. So I look at the Uber driver and I'm like, drive, he's crazy. And the Uber driver drives off. And why did I do that? Like, why did I sit here and like, I don't know. I didn't know anybody else. I don't know.
Y'all heard that, right? So they were supposed to go to the honky tonk. And then this man called her a slut, slapped her. Started texting other women, went on Snapchat. And then she went to a security guard and started crying and talking about her daddy issues because she didn't want to get him in trouble. But you could tell that that was really affecting her, y'all. The fact that she was crying about her daddy issues just lets you know everything you need to know. Internally, her subconscious was hurt about that. She had just went through an abortion. Where was her father? Where was her mother? Where was her sister? What happened between them? When you have such a toxic family dynamic or unhealthy family dynamic, then it just leads you to these kind of moments where you want to be alone because you don't want to be around that. But this is why we need community, because for those who have unhealthy relationships with their parents or siblings, the healthy people in the community need to be there for them so that we can be mentors to them, big sisters to them, because this situation should have never happened. It should have never happened. But situations like hers are happening all around the world every day. They're happening around the world every day. And so now a group of men approach her. Imagine, this is the green flag I was talking about, y'all. When she said a group of men approached her and asked her if she was okay. And these men were in their 30s and 40s. So I want to make it very clear here that I don't just do these red flags to be like all men are toxic and bad. Because there are some good men out there. I'm married to one. I will say that. But I have to also be realistic and know that the ratio is not that great. And unfortunately, the good men out there are outnumbered by the bad men. And the good men, like the ones who approach her and ask her if she's okay, they are the ones who don't get seen as much as the bad ones. Because the bad ones are all over the place. They're everywhere. They are everywhere. And they are being menaces to society. And they are victimizing not only us, but the good men too. How many times I heard them say, oh, you a simp. Oh, if you defend a woman, you're a beta male. That's what they will say. Because that is their psyche. They hate themselves. I'm telling y'all. They don't like themselves. And they think that a man is supposed to degrade and disrespect women. That's what a man is, when that could be furthest from the truth. Those men were real men. Those were the real men because they nurture and protect. They don't beat. They don't abuse.
I went back in the morning, but I didn't, because I didn't know that people were capable of taking things as far at this point. I knew what he was capable of, and I knew what he was capable of, but not that he would ever do it to me. You know, like, who does that to their girlfriend? Like, you hear about people getting beat in movies and on the news and in documentaries, and why would that happen to me? Why would it, you know? So I ended up getting back home about an hour after him. And I know this because we had talked about it later on, but I get back about an hour after him. And I walk in the front door, and he's leaned over the toilet just barfing. And I'll never, ever, ever forget the look in his eyes when I walked in that door. I walk in, and he's leaned over like this. And when I walk in the room, he goes, like, this is gonna look dumb, but he like looked up at me with like his eyes wide like this. And like, there was no soul in his eyes. They were empty. And I remember my biggest compliment for him, like when I first started to get him, is that he had these puppy dog eyes. You know, they were full of soul and light and happiness and joy. And after this day, his eyes stayed hollow and lifeless and soulless. But his eyes just, I can't even explain the look in his eyes. I can't explain it. And he looks up at me and he stands up and he goes, you stupid fucking bitch. Where the fuck were you? And I'm like, you slapped me in the face in the Uber. What the fuck was I going to do? Sit there and like sit next to you? Like, I'm not going to sit in a 20-minute Uber ride back home after you just slapped me in the face. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? And so he's like, I know you were fucking somebody. You were fucking somebody. I'm like, you have my location. Like, here's your phone. Go check my Life 360 track. Like, I stayed on Broadway. I was at Honky Tonk the whole time crying to these people about how you just slapped me in the face. Well, I was telling him that I told people that he slapped me in the face. But in reality, I only told one person he slapped me in the face. And I did tell Doesn't matter. But I told the honky tonk people that my dad was going through things and what our issues were. But I told one guy, the group of guys, that my boyfriend had slapped me in the face. But I was like, I was literally just crying about what had happened. And he's like, do you understand that, like, when you jumped out of the Uber, I jumped out after you, couldn't find you, had to pull out $80 cash to go give somebody to take me home. And I'm like, then why'd you slap me in the face? Like, he sat there and he was trying to, like, twist it. He's like, no, this is your fault. Like, you made me spend $80 to go home. And I'm like, you slapped your girlfriend in the face and called me a slut. Was I supposed to sit in the Uber with you that I paid for? What the fuck is wrong with you? So he sits there and he's twisting it. And he's like, no, you just made me spend $80 on an Uber home, whatever. And so we just start arguing. And I'm just like, do you not see what you did wrong? Like, apologize to me.
Sis went right back to him, and I'm not surprised because it usually takes a DV victim at least 7 times to leave a relationship. So this was her first time, y'all, and we're gonna see it's not the last. He had no remorse for slapping her and then proceeded to punch her in the face. And then he broke the vanity that he bought for her. This man was psychotic, y'all.
And so things are just heating up, and he's calling me names, and we're arguing, and I'm just in shock that he is standing on slapping me in the face. And at this point, he punches me in the face. Oh my god, he punches me in the face. It starts just going. Just beating the fuck out of me, really. To the point where there was teeth indents in my lip. I couldn't eat for 3 days because, like, my jaw felt like it had unclicked because he had just gotten me so hard. I don't remember how I felt in that moment.
Demonic, psychotic, just the worst type of man that you can meet as a 19-year-old, y'all. And he was only 20 years old, displaying all of this aggression and anger and hate, y'all. And for the first time, she called the domestic violence hotline. The cops pulled up and they saw that she had visible bruises because they got a noise complaint. So she called the domestic violence hotline. But at the same time, neighbors were hearing them scream and argue, and they called because they said, hey, there's too much noise coming from here. They submitted a noise complaint. The cops came to check it out. She said she had visible bruises. But then she thought about him going to jail and that he was on probation. So when the cops came to check out the scene, she said that she had daddy issues again. She brought it up again. So this is her second time bringing it up to a stranger. And then the cop gave her a hug and said to go back with her boyfriend and take a rest. This is a problem, guys, because the authorities are not equipped to deal with this. And we're seeing that time and time again, women are being failed. Because the fact that he hugged her and told her to go back to her boyfriend, didn't even try to investigate, like, hey, why are they fighting? Like, what's going on? Didn't even try to probe deeply. Didn't try to do none of that, y'all. This is why I say that they're not doing as much as they can. I'll be honest with you. And we're the ones who are left to protect ourselves. Because imagine if she went back and he decided to unalive her that night. And then we would have this cycle all over again, y'all. So this means that this young lady could have possibly been unalived by sheer luck and blessing and grace. He didn't choose to unalive her that night, y'all. Now, this is what I will say, though. Law enforcement, y'all got to do better. There needs to be kind of like a checklist or something, because this is not the first time I've heard of this happening. Isn't that the same thing that happened with Gabby Petito and countless other women? And this keeps happening. And that just leads me to believe that they don't care enough to check. So now after he done assaulted her and beat her, he wanted to fix things. And that night they went to a restaurant and booked tickets to go to Hawaii together. And she said that his job was to power wash windows and driveways because he had his own business, so he could choose his own hours. And that there was an incident where she wanted to help him wash his car. He got angry, asked her why she wanted to take his car or wash his car, accused her of sleeping with other men. He called her a stupid bitch, and he started smiling and laughing in her face. Mind you, he did this in the presence of a friend of his. And this is the saddest part, y'all. She said that he called her bitch more than he called her actual name. This man was truly diabolical, y'all. She went to Hawaii with him. Things were okay at first. They met some nice people there. Then again, here his demonic ass goes getting drunk. He starts throwing up. Then there was a man around who was like, you know, helping them or whatever. And then the man tried to approach her, ask her for her Snapchat. She said, no, that's her man. So then she kind of like turned the guy down. Then she ended up telling her boyfriend, who got jealous, of course, because he's unhinged. And then he started going through her Snapchat, checking all of her contacts. And then he saw an old childhood friend of hers. And then he said he wanted to break up with her, and she was begging him not to. Again, the cycle of abuse, the manipulation, making her feel like he could take himself away because he knew that she really wanted him. Because remember, in the beginning, she was very interested. So he knew he could hold that against her head. Like, I'm going to leave you, and then make her do whatever he wanted her to do. He slammed her head into the door and started kicking her, y'all. He was just, again, this is a piece of shit, man. Then she tried to fight back, and then she locked herself in the bathroom. She started documenting and taking pictures and videos. He walked in the shower. He grabbed her clothes and then threw her clothes outside so she would have to go outside and pick it up, and then he locked the door.
And I'm just like, please stop overreacting. Like, it's like, please stop. And he's just like, I don't fucking care, whatever. Sorry, I'm probably taking too long in this story. But eventually things escalate, and he's like, I'm leaving. Like, I'm leaving. Sorry. Like, you're stuck here. And so I stand up and I'm like, no, don't go. Please do not fucking go. Please do not fucking go. And, I'm just sitting there crying. And, he's like, so you're fucking this guy, aren't you? You're fucking this guy, aren't you? And I'm like, no, I'm not. And, I can't recall. It was like a lot of screaming and stuff. And, he had punched my head into the door as hard as he could. Like, my head just slammed into the door to the point where I remember I've never like had my head hit something so hard that like I went unconscious. But I was like very close to going unconscious, and I sat there and everything was spinning, and I'm laying on the door like this at this point, and I'm like, my eyes are rolling in the back of my head because of how hard he had hit me onto the door. My ear ended up turning black after that, and there was a huge dent on my head from how hard he hit me up against it. And I'm laying on the floor in like fetal position, and he just starts kicking the fuck out of me and punching me, and he's kicking me as hard as he can, and I'm screaming, crying, and he's like, you learn your lesson, bitch, you learn your lesson, bitch. And then he spits on me and walks away. So I get back up. And I'm like, at this point, oh, I've never tried fighting back before. So I get up and I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with you? What the fuck's wrong with you? You don't do that to me. So then he shoves me on the floor again. And he tries to drag me by the legs into the hallway. So I grab the cabinet of the Airbnb, and he's pulling my legs so hard into the hallway. I don't know why he was trying to take me into the hallway, probably to just, I don't know, so I couldn't run away or something. So I'm screaming, and I'm like, please stop, let go of me, let go of me, let go of me, let go of me. And he pulls me so hard that the cabinet rips off the hinges of this Airbnb. And he starts punching me again. And then he just walks away. And so at this point, I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Like, this was definitely the worst. So at this point, I'm scared again. I'm sure you know how I feel. I've said it a million times. So I run in and I lock myself in the bathroom. Because it's like the only place with a lock, and I wanted to be safe, and I was scared. So I locked myself in there, and I start taking pictures and videos of everything he did to me. And I'm just sitting there crying. I remember my lip had like this weird like line on it. And so then I'm like, oh shit, what if he comes in here? Like, I just don't want him to come in here and start doing stuff. So I turn on the shower and I get naked, I get in the shower. And I'm standing in there, so I'm like, this is the one place I feel like he wouldn't hurt me in, like, is the shower. So I'm standing there, and I'm not even washing my hair. I'm just standing there, like, shaking from, like, what the fuck happened. I was just in shock. And so then I hear him knock on the bathroom and open it. And he walks in, and he looks at me, and he goes, I'll never fucking forget this. After he just beat the fuck out of me, he walks in, and he goes, looks around. And I'm, like, sitting in there. I remember when he walked in. I can't explain the feeling of being scared of your boyfriend. Of being scared of the man that's supposed to, I cannot fucking explain that. I cannot explain how scared I was at this point of this man. So he walks in, he grabs my clothes, and he walks out. I'm like, where the fuck is he taking those? Turns out he had taken my clothes, the only clothes that I had, because mind you, I booked this Airbnb for one night. All of our actual stuff was in Honolulu. So these are the only clothes I had. He had taken them and placed them outside. So I then had to run outside in a towel, completely naked, into the middle of this parking lot of our Airbnb, grab my clothes, and then he locked me out. At that point, I didn't feel anything besides fear and numb. I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel angry. I felt numb and scared.
Then she said that that was the first time she realized that it might not ever end.
And I remember I was like, there's no way this is ever going to end. Because now it's been 3 times. She's done this. So, and mind you, not that it matters, but I had paid for our entire vacation to Hawaii. I had spent about $5,000 for us to get there. I'd been paying for all this food. Mind you, I haven't mentioned this yet, but at this time, as he's doing all of these things to me, he is making no money from his current job that he had, his door knocking business for window washing. So for about 5 months of our relationship, 5 months, while he was doing all of this, he was completely financially responsible on me. Every meal that he would eat came out of my pocket. Every vacation, every flight, every article of clothing, every bottle of water I would pay for. And he was still doing this to me. The Airbnb that he beat my head into a door in, I had bought. Not that it matters, but just to add to the wow of it all, yeah, I had been financially providing for him for the entire time all this was happening, including paying his car. But that night, you know, same thing, wake up, he apologizes, and I'm just so broken as a person.
Y'all just saw that, right? So this man wasn't making no money. He was using her from the beginning. He had nothing going for himself, no purpose. And she was funding him. Again, another theme of these stories. The woman is always the one who is funding the man. There are patterns, y'all. This man had nothing going on for himself. No purpose, no ambition, no nothing. Just like to drink and beat on women. Like the coward that he is. That's all he liked to do. And use women. They are usually users, y'all. So not only was sis paying for everything, but he was also beating her up. So basically everything that he wasn't, he punished her for. Because he couldn't make it. So he was beating down on her for that. He was jealous of her, y'all. That's literally what it is. So now, they drove up on a mountain for a hike. He was very angry. And then she called her mom. So this is the first time she called her mother and asked her mom what to do. So now this is the first time that her peoples know a little bit about what's going on. He left her and just went into the jungle, into the wild. She didn't know where he was. He left her alone. He got on his moped and then just sped off, and she went chasing him. This dynamic is very toxic, y'all. She finally caught up to him, and then he said he's going home. Fuck you. I just know you're going to cheat on me, so I'm just going to leave you. In my mind, I feel like he's trying to make her break it off with him. He's showing me through his actions that he don't want to be with her. Like, he hates her. He said it. I just know you're going to cheat on me, so I'm going to leave you. He tried so many times to leave this girl, but she wouldn't let him leave. Again, the abuse. Because the more that he kind of pushed away from her, the more she wanted it. That's very unhealthy, y'all. That is a definite sign of low self-esteem. And if you see yourself chasing men and going after them, even when they treat you like crap, because you're trying to fix them. This is not a Disney fairy tale, y'all. This is real life. These men are not to be fixed. If he needs to be fixed, he needs to fix himself. You cannot fix him. He will never change. So stop thinking that by you taking the abuse that he's going to somehow change and then choose you. Because remember in the beginning, she said that she felt honored and wanted because he wanted her instead of everybody else. He chose her instead of all the other women. And so now she's trying to fix him because she's like, no, I can fix you. I can be better. No amount of you doing that is going to make him better. He's a monster, sis. He's a monster. He cannot be fixed. Unless he wants to fix himself. He could be a reform monster if he fixes himself. But until then, he's a monster. Whew, y'all. All right, let's keep going with this story. So now, she got upset. She grabbed his passport and she took accountability for that. She's like, I don't know why I did that. I grabbed his passport. I didn't want him to leave. Then she called his mother, thinking that his mother was going to fix all this. And Lord, little did she know that his mother is the one who raised him to be this way. His mother raised him to be this way. Because if he's this way, best believe there's a mama behind him and a daddy behind him. Best believe it. Best believe it. Whatever behavior he's portraying, they enabled it. So then his mom called him. So only mama could calm him down because he's in a rage. He's in a fit of rage, but mommy can calm him down. He came back and then he beat her. Then she called her mom and asked, why does he think I'm going to cheat? Does he not know how loyal I am? And she said her mom heard him abusing her and that her mom started to not like him at that point. Now, I don't know why her parents did not fly to drag her behind out, but I'm going to assume that there's some type of dynamic that she's not explaining, because I would have been on that first flight to go grab her ass. And now his parents called him. Mind you, they don't know the extent of the abuse. They just know there's some type of relationship dispute going on. So now, this is very important, y'all. He said that he's had trust issues since childhood. And that he's obsessed with her and doesn't want to lose her. He has childhood trauma, y'all. I don't know what happened to him in his childhood. But this kind of behavior lets me know that there's some deep-rooted situations that have happened in his life that he needs to resolve. But instead of being vulnerable to that and trying to seek help for that, he would rather abuse and victimize somebody else because he's been abused and victimized. Y'all see how that works? It's a pattern. Whatever abuse he went through as a child or traumatic experience, he is taking it out on her. That's why I make it a point to talk about children. And a lot of parents would rather have cute children. You just want to show your kids off, but you don't actually want to be a parent. Yeah, I said it. You don't actually want to be a parent. Y'all don't want to be parents. A lot of y'all. A lot of people don't want to be parents. They want to have kids for the optics. But then when it comes down to actually nurturing and taking care of your kid, nowhere to be found. They think financially taking care of your kid is enough. No, emotionally you need to be there for them. Because this man has an issue. Where were his parents? Yes, I'm going to target them. I'm pointing at them. Where were they? He said he's had issues since childhood, trust issues. What was going on in his household? This is why it's important to be healed before you get into a relationship. And make sure the person you're with is also healthy and healed so that you can produce some healthy and healed children. And yes, I understand that that does not guarantee that they will be, but the chances are higher than not. After this entire situation, they went back to California, stayed there for a bit, then went to New Jersey for a photo shoot that she had. Because remember, she's the influencer. This man is jobless and a bum. Or he owns his own little business, but we all know what that is. He's a bum. So now they went to New York City, and it was his first time going to New York City, so he was stoked about it. He got drunk again. Again, another thing. He's drinking a lot. He's hiding something, y'all. He got drunk again and was angry at her for no reason and ignored her the whole trip. And she said that at this point, she felt like it was narcissism because the attention was on her and not him. Yes, sis, I could have told you that this man is clearly showing signs of that. And she started calling him out for one. She said she finally felt like herself a little bit. So she started calling him out. And she said the old me came out. So at that point, I guess she was fed up with him. And she said he ignored her the whole way back to their hotel. So he ignored her the whole day because remember, they're celebrating her achievement and he just couldn't see that. He's like, it has to be about me. After 4 hours of ignoring her, the first thing he said was he called her a slut. And she responded by slapping him in the face. And then he got angry because they were going inside of the subway tunnel or trying to go downstairs to the subway. He got so angry he pushed her. And she fell down a flight of stairs and fell on her back. And she was in so much pain to the point where she thought she was paralyzed. And thank goodness for the guardian angel that came. A woman came to help her. And then when the woman came to help, he was like, oh my God, you just fell. And she was like, no, I saw you push her. I saw you push her. And then he ran away like the coward that he is. Of course he is. Then the cops were called. And then he went and hid away for a while until the cops left. And then he got back into the hotel room, y'all. Then she called her mom the next day and said she slipped and fell. Y'all, this is very troubling. He still ended up abusing her afterwards. Then they did a live stream together where he was just basically talking to her all types of sideways, and people started recognizing it. In the live stream, some of their followers were like, hey, this is not right. But of course, she protected him.
Y'all, she's texting some Indiana number like right now. Hello? Break up. Let's break up. Right now on live. You ready? I'm done with you. I'm done with you. Yep. Set it here. Set in stone on live. There's a red flag if I go through your phone. That's crazy.
Everybody's saying you're annoying.
Well, fuck them. Fuck you guys. I love the people that actually care. All the people that say I'm annoying are probably like...
They do. They just want you in the live. Like,
No,
you can literally go through my phone on live just, like, be in it.
I love every single one of y'all that love me, but the ones that say I'm annoying...
I'm just saying, I didn't start this
Eat a
live,
bag
so,
of
like,
dicks.
at least be
Eat
in
a
it.
bag of dicks and one saying I'm annoying. Eat a bag of dicks. The people that fuck with me, fuck with me.
I was like, thanks, honey.
All the other ones, eat a bag of dicks, honestly. I can ship them to you if you want. I got 4 inches, 2 inches, 8 inches. Whatever you want, I can send them over to your house and you can eat a whole bag of them. I'm not even doing nothing.
You're not even in the live. For, like,
you were just in the live. Why would I take your phone?
You were in it. Shit. I'm not. It's just annoying.
Babe, this is the first time I took your phone in like fucking 2 months.
I know, but we're on live. Like, do it after. Like, you wanted to go live. That's like all I'm saying is you wanted to go live, so let's go live. Go through it when we're like on the way to Starbucks or something. Like, I'll drive, go through it. Like, I don't care. It's literally just annoying. It's the second you get on live and then you go through my phone. Like, it's just weird in my opinion.
Because she was a victim, y'all. That's what victims of abuse do. They protect their abusers. And he would hurt her. She said that he would hurt her on purpose. Like, even small things, like just pinching her, making sure she was hurt. And he did things he knew would hurt her. Then, October, around Halloween, they went to her friend's birthday party in California. And then at that point, he practically moved in with her. They would go back and forth to Nashville once a month because he had to do a probation check-in. I forgot about that. This man was a jailbird. She said that he was financially dependent on her. So she was paying for everything. And they spent every day together. And then at this point, there's a best friend that came into the picture. Her best friend is Brennan. He's a gay man. And he would hang out with her and Emma. So they were like, I guess, the Three Musketeers. But her boyfriend did not believe he was gay. And her boyfriend would accuse her of sleeping with this man. And he went up to Brennan and said, I want you to fuck my girlfriend right now. And I want you to dance and twerk on him to prove that this man wasn't gay. Like I said, repress homosexuality. This is what I'm noticing here. That he would accuse her of sleeping with men because he wanted to sleep with them. Let's be clear. He was obsessed with her sleeping with men because he's obsessed with sleeping with men. That's what it was. He wanted her to twerk up on her gay bestie because he wanted to get a hard on. But he didn't want to show that he's gay because remember, he's hyper masculine. He's a frat boy. Remember, he slept with a whole bunch of women. He got a lot of bodies. All right. And yet, he's accusing her of sleeping with a lot of men. All right. Y'all, I'm telling y'all, this is deep, man. This is deeper than we think it is. Even I'm just scratching on the surface here. I'm pretty sure it's deeper than what I think it is. Now, there was another incident at another house party, and he accused her of only going because his friend was going, and that he accused her of sleeping with him too. He just accused her of sleeping with everybody. Now, he accused her of being a town whore. Because that's what all he was thinking about, y'all. Now, we move on to part 2. She said that he choked her out, and she got to the point where she couldn't even breathe. So she said that she's been dealing with this, and she's actually grateful that she's able to speak up about it, and she's not only doing it for herself but for others, because she said countless women have come up to her. They've gone through the same situation, and in my mind, I'm like, what is going on? Why are we not talking about this? Because people want to get mad at me for pointing out red flags, right? And also my peers, my mutuals, for speaking out about this. But then we see all these couple goals videos everywhere. I can go on Instagram, you just gonna see happy families, happy couples, babies, 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 happy couples, happy couples, happy couples. We don't see none of this. The women are hiding. And it's because they know that if they come out, people are going to not believe them. A lot of people. And a lot of people are going to victim shame them and blame them and say that they should have done this or done that instead of attacking the problem in itself, which is the abusive piece of shit. Because everywhere I see, oh, why didn't she do this? Why would she do that? Why would she do this? Why would he do that? What about that? Why don't we talk about that? Y'all don't want to talk about it though. Why would he do that? Let's stop deflecting. Because the problem has always been the same thing. It's always the same thing. Oh, women do it too. Where? Where? Because it's not the same amount. The ratio is different. This man knew he could get away with it. That's why he did it. Because there's a whole community protecting him and people like him. And then when I expose it, y'all want to copyright strike me. All right. She said he choked her out until she got to the point where she couldn't breathe, y'all. Then on November 17, 2024, she saved his life because they went to a mansion party. He drank a whole bottle of Grey Goose vodka. And then he couldn't breathe. And so she did CPR on him, called the ambulance. He went to the hospital, resurrected like Lazarus. Then he continues. Imagine, she just saved his life and he calling her. He goes and calls her a slut yet again and starts screaming at her. Because he thought she called him an alcoholic when he asked her, should I stop drinking? And she said yes. Demonic behavior, like I said. That night, he started his fuck shit again. That's literally me saying that because I was writing these notes down. He started beating her up. He basically continued on with the abuse. He started beating her up as hard as he could. And then she said that she recounted a situation where he tried to get her to commit, to unalive herself. And she said at the time she wasn't talking to her family. Her father cut her off. You see, this is what I'm saying. Her dad cutting her off was a deep wound to her. She's mentioned it throughout both parts of the video. Her daddy cutting her off was probably the catalyst, y'all. And then she put the pills in her mouth. But then after that, he grabbed her mouth and then the pills came out. She said she wasn't actually going to take the pills, but then he called the cops and tried to get her Baker acted. He said, I hope you go to jail tonight. Again, this sounds like Cora Obedi's story, y'all. This is exactly like Cora Obedi's story. Because her ex tried to get her Baker acted as well. Same thing. I'm telling y'all, it's the psyche. It's a pattern. And then we got people mad at me because I'm exposing it. Especially my folks who want to interracially date. So now, let's fast forward a little bit. He accused her of trying to sleep with his brother while she was looking for her phone charger because they went on a family vacation with his family. Her brother was in the car while he was calling her all types of derogatory names. Accused her of sleeping with multiple men in front of his brother. His brother is used to this, y'all.
At that point, I knew he was insinuating that I went down there to try to F his brother. So I ended up saying bye to his family, and we get in the truck, and we start driving back. It was me, him, and his brother, and I really don't want to bring other people in this story. I also really just focus on this, but we're all in the truck, and he is saying that he's done with me, that I'm a whore, that I'm a slut, and he's like, don't you agree? Like, she's a whore, she's a slut, like, she'll just F anything, like, I'm so sick of her, like, I know what you were trying to do down there, basically saying that I was trying to F his brother, saying that I was trying to F his brother at a family vacation, because I went downstairs to grab my charger for 5 seconds at 7 in the morning, and this wasn't even the craziest person that he had accused me of wanting to hook up with. He accused me of wanting to hook up with my stepdad. He accused me of wanting to hook up with my brother-in-law. He accused me of wanting to hook up with every single one of his friends. He accused me of wanting to hook up with my friends, or my best friend's boyfriend. He accused me of wanting to hook up with the gas station workers. He had accused me, I wasn't allowed to talk to men. I wasn't allowed to talk to men, and I didn't know up until this point that rule extended to his family. So he basically accused me of effing his brother, and while he's doing this, I'm just crying in the backseat because this was my last time I was going to see him before I went back home to Indiana for my birthday. And I'm just in the backseat absolutely sobbing. And I'll post this on TikTok or something. But before he had even apologized, he's still accusing me of wanting to F his brother. He responds to a comment on Snapchat saying, are you going to propose to her? and he does like a little wink face as a response. And I'm in the back crying.
I could already tell you there was something going on in that household, because his brother did not even think to bat an eye while this man was berating his girlfriend in front of him. And then she said, oh, I don't want to involve anybody. No, sis, you should have involved his brother in there. Because that tells me all I need to know about what was going on in that household. The fact that he could talk to you all types of ways in front of his brother and his brother did nothing about it, that speaks volumes.
And within 5 minutes of me being on the couch, I hear him open my bedroom doors. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to cry. I hear him open my bedroom doors, and he immediately just starts screaming at me. He's like, you're an effing slut. You're not sleeping on the couch. You're sleeping in the bed with me. Get the F up. You're sleeping on the bed with me. You're sleeping on the bed with me. Get the F up. You're not sleeping on this couch. And I'm like, I'm not. You just disrespected the fuck out of me. Like, I'm not going anywhere near you. I'm not sleeping in that room with you after what you just said. I'm not going to sit there and cuddle with you. Like, are you serious? And so he just keeps screaming at me and getting closer. And at this point, he's like right up here on the couch, and I'm like sleeping like this. And he's like, you're not sleeping on the couch. Get in the room with me now. And I'm like, no. And he's like, I effing hate you. I effing hate you. And he grabs my arm and he tries to pull me up. And I'm like, no, I'm not going up with you. And he moves to the end of the couch where my legs are. And he stands up on the couch. He looks me in the eyes and starts punching me as hard as he can everywhere. Fully cocking his arm back and swinging it as hard as he can into my body. Punches me in my head, everywhere, I can't explain it. Like, he fully just cocking his shit back and swinging it into me as hard as he can.
He wanted her to stop talking to her sister's fiance and accuse her of sleeping with him. I done told y'all, because that's what he wanted, his fantasy. He started to finally think about her mistake of letting this happen, realized that he was using her for money and his monetary gain and to have clout on social media. What I told y'all, you're going to see more of this happening. Remember when I did that social media couple, Zav and Munna, I had to take the video down because Munna had respectfully asked me to. But I saw that these men are using women for clout. And then while they're using them, they're just treating them the worst ways possible. They just want the followers, the views. He didn't care about her. He actually hated her. But he cared about that money, though. And we gonna get to that. So now they went back to Hawaii with Emma and Brennan. This was last January. She said that she started journaling at this point. So sis is starting to wisen up and starting to journal and document things and starting to express her feelings. She said she was very depressed and unhappy and was a shell of herself. Yes, and I'm glad that you finally realized that, to be quite honest with you. She said that at the time she wasn't talking to anyone and that her boyfriend was only drinking beer, drinking a lot. And then he accused her again of sleeping with Brennan. This is another reoccurring theme. He would slap her sunburn and pinch it because remember, he liked to have her feel pain at all types of times. So if he's not physically punching her and kicking her, he wants to pinch her and make sure that she remembers the pain that he inflicted on her, like the demonic, monstrous entity that he is, because he's a sadist on top of being a demon. They were in the water, and he said he doesn't think Brennan's gay. This is the second time. And he said this, he came up with this conclusion because he smacked her ass and she didn't react. So therefore, that means that he's gay. When I say he smacked her ass, I'm talking about her boyfriend smacked her ass and she didn't react. So he's thinking Brennan's doing that to her too. So that means that he's not gay. Oh, Lord. The logic is not logicking. But then what are we talking about here? This man clearly has no type of thought process here. He cussed her out in front of his friends. So he's becoming belligerent and bold at this point. He's getting very comfortable in his abusive behavior, thinking that everybody's just going to let it slide like his family did.
Oh, what bitch? Oh, what bitch? So I'm just standing there, and then Emma goes, all she said was, oh, we're looking for somebody to record the video. And I'm standing there in shock. And he goes, you fat bitch, you ugly bitch, you wrinkly bitch, fuck you bitch, you ugly bitch, you fat bitch. And I'm not joking, 5 minutes, screaming at me, and everybody's looking at this point, just screaming at me, saying I'm a fat bitch, an ugly bitch, a wrinkly bitch, on and on and on, and he won't stop. And Emma goes up to him and is like, dude, fucking stop, you need to stop. And he won't stop, and he's just screaming for 5 minutes, calling me every bitch, ugly bitch, fat bitch, everything. So I'm just in shock, and I grab Emma's arm, and I'm like, can we walk away? I can't hear this. So I walk away. He's still screaming at me, and I just jump into the water with her, and I'm like, I can't do this. I'm supposed to be happy in Hawaii. I can't do this anymore.
But people didn't let it slide here. And then she kind of recounted, she went back in time and said that the day he met her parents, she was singing a song titled Fuck My Baby Daddy. I'm assuming that's Sexy Red. And then he got angry at her for singing that. He's like, oh, well, who's your baby daddy? And then he said he misses his ex and how she has a loose vagina and that he misses his ex and having sex with her. Child, just... Whew, all right. Then she ended up introducing him to her parents as if nothing happened. So this is the type of dynamic we're dealing with here. So now let's get back to Hawaii, because that's where we are now. She kind of went back in time, then went back here. She said that they were at the cliff, and then some girls overheard him and how he was talking to her. And then the girls came up to her. Shout out to these young ladies, y'all. They said that is not normal how he's behaving towards her and that she needs to leave him. Yes, we need more people like that, y'all. There are some good humans in this world because we're tired of it. All of us we're sick of it, y'all. We're sick of it. We're tired of it. This has gotten to the point where we're just exhausted. We need a change because the girls were like, this is not okay. He does not need to be treating you this way. And then while they were saying that, homeboy's in the background getting into fights with other people. So he was belligerently drunk and was about to fight somebody, but I guess they was on a different type of time, and they went up to Kayla and they was like, yo, you need to get your boy over here because we about to put paws on him. So he better, he's clearly drunk and he doesn't know where he's at, but he's in Hawaii right now. He better not play around. He gonna F around and find out. So then she was embarrassed, and then they decided to like kind of try to get him to calm down. She talked to her brother-in-law. So she called her brother-in-law, was like, is it normal for a man to act like this? And then the brother-in-law was like, no, it's not normal at all. I forgot to mention that the brother-in-law and her and the boyfriend, they went out for New Year's Eve, and then her soon-to-be brother-in-law, because she has a twin sister, he was about to propose to her sister that day, and then her boyfriend made it all about him, as usual, and he started like berating her in front of people and started to like cause a scene. All right, so then I had to say that because I forgot to add that in there. So now, fast forward, a 28-year-old man saw this happening. Shout out to that man, by the way. I'm telling you, there's some green flag men, the 30 to 40-year-old men that tried to help her out when she was at the honky tonk. And now this 28-year-old man in Hawaii, he approached her and offered to take them for a drive. So he saw that her boyfriend was really drunk, and he was like, look, like, he shouldn't be driving. Let me go take y'all out for pizza, and I'm going to drive y'all where y'all need to go. And she said, cool. At that time, when he was going to go get the pizza, the boyfriend came to her and asked to look at her phone, because he would consistently always ask to look at her phone because he was controlling and trying to see who she was messaging. He wanted to make sure people didn't know what an abusive piece of shit he really is. So now the man came back with the pizza, and then he saw her getting abused by her boyfriend.
You again, like, I feel like you're just gonna take it. Like, no, I want my phone. So at that point, he's like, no, you're giving me your phone. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not giving you my phone. So he grabs my arm and he shoves me up against this brick wall, and he's holding my arm as hard as he can up against it and pushing me up against the wall. And he's like, give me your fucking phone. And at that point, the dude who offered to get us pizza comes up to me, and he's like, get your hands off of her, don't touch her like that. So he turns around and he's like, mind your fucking business, bro, mind your fucking business. And he's like, no, you're not gonna touch her like that, you're not gonna touch her like that. And then Emma starts joining in, and she's like, don't touch Kayla like that, like, what are you doing? So they're yelling at him, and that's when my boyfriend starts screaming back at them and starts trying to fight the guy who offered to take him to get pizza to sober him up. And he's like, I'll touch her how I want, I don't give a fuck. Like, mind you, he had just assaulted me in front of them. He grabbed my arm and shoved me up against the fucking wall. And at that point, I ran barefoot. I looked at the situation. I didn't know what to do. I ran down the street. I ran as far as I could. And I called my mom. And I kept the promise I made to myself. And I called my mom. And I said, Mom, please don't tell anybody. But Evan, my boyfriend hits me. And it's been going on for months. And I knew once I told her that I couldn't stay with him. So I told her, I and he's been hitting me for months. And it's really bad. He's tried to kill me before. And she starts crying on the phone, and she's like, well, are you okay? Don't go near him. Stay away from him. And I'm just crying on the phone. Just telling her what I've told her for the past few months. And that's when Emma and the guy find me crying. And I look at Emma, and I said, I'm doing this so I can never go back. I tell her that he's been hitting me. And, like, you know, she had an idea, but I never confirmed it with her. Like, you know, she's walked in a few times, but I've always said she didn't know what she was seeing because I was scared. And I told her, and I showed her pictures, and I showed her the videos. Emma started crying, and the guy was in shock. And I was just like, he's been physical with me. Like, what you guys just saw 5 seconds ago was nothing compared to the shit he's done to me.
And he said, nah, we not gonna let that slide. You ain't gonna be talking to her like that. And so then Emma, the friend, was like, no, you're not gonna talk to her like that. You need to chill. And so he got upset and he left. And so the 28-year-old man took her and Emma and was like, look, you don't need to go back to the Airbnb where he's at. You need to get a hotel with your friend and leave. And so again, she decided not to listen because, remember, I said it takes 7 times for an abuse victim to leave the relationship. So she wanted to get a final goodbye with him. And she said he still had her location. While they were driving to go to the hotel, he followed her location because he still had her location, and he went to the window.
And so he drives it up to the car. And at this point, it's just me and Emma in the car, and the guy is out helping Brennan. And he walks up, and he has his flashlight on, and he puts it on me, and I'm in the backseat just crying. And he looks at me, and he goes, why the fuck are you crying? And I look at him, and I'm like, and before I can even get a word out, the guy who's driving comes up and shoves him, and he goes, get the fuck away from her. We know what you did. And he's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And the dude's like, dude, we know. And so he looks at me, and he goes, I'm going back to Nashville tonight. We're fucking done. And then speeds off. So I just start sobbing, and he drives away. And we end up getting pizza, and the whole time I'm just sobbing, and I'm like, at this point, like, what did I do? What did I do? And instead of, like, I don't know if you guys have ever had something like this where you forget the bad and you can only think of the good. And I don't know, there wasn't much good of our relationship at all, but for some reason, all I could think about was good stuff.
And then she ended up going back to him to say a final goodbye, even though the 28-year-old man told her not to, and her friends tried to beg her not to, but she ended up saying a final goodbye to him. Y'all, let me tell you guys something, please. If you're in an abusive relationship, you don't need to have closure. If you feel like you're in an unsafe situation, you're with someone who's unhinged, please do not seek closure. You don't need it. Just ghost. You don't need to tell them your moves. Don't tell them nothing. Tell them nothing. One day they need to see everything gone. Move in silence. That will save you. I'm telling you. The most dangerous time for a victim of abuse is when she tries to escape. Please do not tell them where you're going. Don't tell them nothing. Don't sit them back. These people cannot be rationalized with. They don't have the same psyche as you. They don't have the same mindset. Just leave. What you're going to do is you're going to leave, get the cops, come back, and get your stuff with the cops there. When she went to go see him for the final time to say her final goodbye, she told him, hey, we can't get back together because I told my mom. And then he was just thinking about social media, y'all. He was like, oh, so where am I going to get my money? Y'all, he was just using her. Let's just be clear. That's what he was doing.
So, go to bed that night. The next day, it was our last day in Hawaii, and things were normal. He was trying to act happy and like he loved me and cared about me, but it's because he knew he was going to lose his job. I was his job. I was his job, and then punching bag. He didn't love me. So, flash forward, we get back home to California, and the same night that we get back home, he ends up packing his bags and going to Nashville.
And then she said that maybe we could take a 2-month break. Y'all, she was just really, that I'm telling y'all, that that connection, the trauma, the, Stockholm syndrome, all of that stuff is very real. She was still trying to work it out with him and saying that, maybe in 2 months, if you get therapy, you fix yourself. So then during the 2 months that they were apart, they were still talking to each other, still connecting with each other. She couldn't let him go. What made her decide to finally leave was that she went to an event, and then a young girl came up to her and was talking about her DV situation. And then she found out that that young woman was in her DV situation for 4 years. Then it finally clicked for her that he's never going to change, y'all. It finally clicked for her that he's never going to change. And then she finally broke it off with him.
And it was really hard. I was really sad. And I remember even after breaking up, I would send him texts that I miss him, and he would text me and whatever. And I cared about him, and I still couldn't believe what he did to me, and I still was in denial until one day it changed, and it was about a week after we broke up. And I called him for the first time because I was really upset. And I call him, and the first thing he says to me, is, "Are you going to talk about this online? Are you going to tell people about this?" And I said, I don't know how to share my story. I'm scared. I was like, I don't want people to look at me and only see what you did to me. I don't know if I'll be able to talk about this. I don't know. And he said, good. Because if you talk about it, that means you don't love me and that you never loved me. He said, if you talk about this publicly, that means you never loved me. And you know what? I never even fucking knew who you were.
I wish that I could say that this was the end of the story, y'all, but no, it's not the end. Let's get into the second part of this story, y'all. So now we got a development here.
Okay guys, I've had a lot of requests for this video, not just by friends, but by random people on the internet. So this is a story of me and Evan Johnson. I do just want to start this video out by saying how proud I am of Kayla and how happy I am that she had a platform to speak out on about what really happened with him, just because I went through a lot of the same things, and those things being known is so important, and I'm glad that he's finally getting what he deserves for the way that he treats women. So the summer of 2022, aka the summer before my junior year, I met Evan, and we started dating on June 18th of 2022. To preface, we only dated for about 5 months, exactly 5 months. We broke up on November 18th of 2022. So from the time we started dating till about like 2 weeks later, we just spent pretty much every second of the day together. And then shortly after that, he ended up moving into my house with me and my parents, and then my younger brother. We had a 2-year age gap, so that kind of plays a lot in the story. So I believe he was 19 and I was like 17 at the time. And since he was living under my roof and didn't have a job, he was fully dependent pretty much on my parents as a 19-year-old man. So pretty much right off the bat, he was super disrespectful to me, eventually disrespectful to my parents, was disrespectful to all of my friends more than once. And it just really shows a lot about his character. So we'll start there. Pretty much like 2 weeks into the relationship, we'd be hanging out in a big group of people, and he would leave the room for a second and come back in, and then I would immediately be accused of cheating on him just because there were other guys in the room. And he left for just a second. Also wanted to throw in, he had a very bad alcohol addiction our whole relationship. Even before we started dating, he still had an alcohol addiction. He was an alcoholic, and that would always just make things worse. So I would have friends over every once in a while. 2 specific friends were pretty much over all the time during our whole relationship. And it got to the point where he would cuss at them and scream at them and just basically verbally abuse them as well. And it honestly, like, it got to a point where, like, it wasn't even safe for my friends to be here. Nonetheless, like, me in my own house. I now just want to get into some examples of how Evan can be when he's angry. Not just towards me, but towards everyone. One of the main things that Evan would do when he was mad and we were in the car is he would speed very fast. Not 80 miles an hour, not 90, over 100. And if I asked him to stop, he'd just go faster. And that wasn't only if I was in the car. If my friends were in the car, if my siblings were in the car, if anyone was in the car and I upset him in any way, he would speed and he wouldn't slow down. So he also liked to throw things, whether it be like throw his hands down or, you know, slam the door or whatever. And there's one time we were literally at Taco Bell getting food and he was angry at me for something I honestly don't even remember. And it ended because he grabbed my phone and threw it out the window as hard as he could into the Taco Bell parking lot. And then asked me to get out of the car. Not asked, screamed at me to get out of the car, and then drove off. I feel like all of the trauma kind of is around the car. Like, I don't know why we were always in his car, but we were. And the first time that he was ever physical with me was in the car. The first time he ever physically hit me was actually in front of my friends, which says quite a bit about him. I was in the car driving, and it was him and a couple of my friends, and we were, I'm assuming, probably going to get food. That's usually what we would do. And I made him mad. Once again, couldn't tell you the reason. And he was yelling at me, probably calling me a slut or a whore or a bitch, whatever it may be. Every name in the book, probably. And I said something back, I'm sure. I'm the type of person to stick up for myself, no matter who's speaking to me. So I definitely yelled at him back. And his response was to slap me across the face while I was driving in front of my friends. Anytime we would get into an argument like that, at the end of it, he would just
threaten to leave and go home. He'd be like, I'm just gonna pack up all my stuff and I'm gonna leave. And that happened pretty much every night, and I'm not kidding, every night. And instead of leaving, he would just sleep in his car because he had nowhere else to go. Yes, he could have gone home, but then he doesn't have a job. Then he doesn't have anyone to pay for his food or, you know, anything like that. He doesn't have a companion either, so he would just be alone. And I think that's probably his biggest fear. There was one night he got super drunk, like blackout drunk. He said he didn't remember it the next day. So we were arguing about something, and I remember he hit me. And it got to a point in our relationship where he would hit me so much that, like, genuinely I had to defend myself. Like, I probably either hit him back or pushed him off of me or something. And when I went to, like, go hit him, he backed up. And since he backed up, I, like, kicked him off of me. And he, like, tripped and fell over something in the floor. And so he got back up, and he was so mad that I had, like, made him fall or, like, tripped or whatever. And I remember he just literally came back and started hitting me. Like, just wouldn't stop, just started literally beating my ass. He then woke up the next morning and said he didn't remember any of it. Anytime that anything like that would happen, he would literally just break up with me too. Like, if he got that mad at me, he would just break up with me. And then he would sit on his phone beside me. So he'd break up with me, but then he'd sit in my bed beside me instead of leaving and going back to his house and make TikToks about how we broke up and post them. Then he would be like, yeah, well, since we're broken up, you know, I guess I can add girls on Snapchat now, and just sit beside me and go through his, like, the girls that had added him and just add. And then, like, 45 minutes later would block all of them because we were back together, because he would literally just sit there until I was like, no, please, like, I'll fix this, like, let's get back together, like, until, like, he wouldn't leave. He wanted me to beg for him back. I could go on and tell you a million stories, but this video is getting pretty long, so to wrap it up, this is how things ended. This is my friend Chloe. She is said friend in all stories. Time. Yes, so one night, me and Chloe decided to go to the gym. Chloe had begged me for hours to go to the gym.
Because she was so scared to leave her fucking house because she literally wasn't allowed to do anything. You had to quit cheer because cheering is slutty. So many things. I had to beg her, and I was like, if he doesn't let you go to the gym, fuck him. Like, please come with me. If you guys want a part 2, let me know. But, so we get to the gym, we go inside, he's already blowing up my phone, calls, texts, Snapchats, he's yelling at me, like, through the phone, like, I pick up his calls, he's like, I'm gonna go cheat on you, yada yada yada, whatever, okay? We get inside, we can't even work out because we're both minors, and you can't bring a minor as a guest to the gym if you're also a minor. So we were there for maybe 5 minutes, if that.
His excuse for me not going to the gym was because only sluts go to the gym. So, then, that night, he is like, no, we're done, you know, you went to the gym, I didn't even work out, but since I went to the gym,
for a couple minutes,
we were done. Then, he didn't act like we were done, he still Snapchatted me, still talked to me, everything. So he goes to work, and he picks up this girl. She told me all of this is how I know this, she texted me on Instagram that night, and she said that he picked her up, and that he cheated on me, they had sex in one of the valet cars, and that was the end of our relationship, because I finally had proof.
Hi guys, I just wanted to come on here and talk about my video being removed. I woke up yesterday and part 2 had been removed because it violated community guidelines. To whoever reported that, if it really did offend you, I'm actually so sorry. I do understand that some of the pictures in there did use slurs, and it was never my intention to offend anybody. I didn't use those words. I do not support using those words. I did just want to bring awareness to the fact that he does use those words. I also do want to say, if it didn't offend you and you were just reporting it to report it, I don't appreciate that. That video was to bring awareness to the situation that's been happening and back up and support Kayla as well. So I just do feel like it was never my intention to hurt or harm anybody from that. It was just to bring awareness. I did try to appeal the report on my video. TikTok did not approve my appeal, so it is permanently deleted. But, you know, I can go back over anything you guys want me to go back over. But I'm really going to use this video to kind of go back over a couple comments on my very first video, just because I don't have access to the comments on the second one anymore. I'm going to go back through and read some of the comments and answer some things and, like, talk about a couple things in the comments that you guys have asked or said. You know, I do have a job and I have other stuff going on in my life, so I haven't had as much time to go back through and read them, but I am just going to take some time to read through and answer some questions. So the first thing I want to address is a bunch of people asking me, like, why I didn't do anything, like, why I didn't call the cops, or why I didn't break up with him. And to be completely honest with you, in domestic violence situations like that, anyone who's been through one will probably understand this, but they manipulate you so bad. And especially if you start dating and they're not this way and you really build a strong connection with them, you care for them, and it's just really hard to, like, sorry, I don't know, it's just really hard. Sorry guys, I get so stressed out making these. But, you know, when you're manipulated like that, it's so hard to hate someone. You know, they make you think that they're a good person and that they really do care about you and that they're struggling, so you don't even want to hurt them back. You know, you don't want to get them in trouble. You don't want them to be in a bad place either. It's just so hard, and that level of manipulation really does something to a person's brain, and especially did something to my brain. I mean, I fully believed I was a bad person, even though it was him the whole time. It's just kind of one of those things where it changes your brain chemistry, like it really does. It does change a lot. Another thing I do want to talk about is all the people I've seen in my comments that say that they've been through similar things or the same thing, and I'm so sorry. You know, no one deserves that.
And it breaks my heart that there's so many people out there who have gone through the same things and don't have proof and never got justice for what happened to them and don't have people backing them and supporting them because they didn't have proof. If I didn't have proof and I came out and spoke about this and, I just had everyone saying that I'm a liar and they didn't believe me, which I do have people saying I'm a liar, which, that's just how it is. But, I can only imagine how you feel, and I'm so sorry. No one deserves that. And then with addressing that, in my other video, I did kind of come on and say that, the people who are sitting here telling me that I'm lying, or that I'm fabricating a story for fame, or that I've never met Evan Johnson in my life. You're the problem. And I said this in my last video, you are the problem. There's so many people in this world who suffer through things and don't have proof, because your first thought in those situations is not to record. It's not to sit there, pull out your phone and record. I'm so glad that Kayla did. And as her being an influencer, that's kind of part of her routine, and I'm so happy she had a platform to speak out on it, because he's actually getting what he deserves for this. But for the people who don't have any proof, or were too young to even have proof, like the people sitting here telling me I'm lying or telling other people they're lying, like, you are the problem. You're the reason people don't want to speak out and they sit in silence and suffer. And you will forever be the problem. Another thing, this doesn't only happen to women. There are plenty of men who go through domestic violence situations, whether it's with other men, other women, it doesn't matter. There's even kids who go through this. So, just telling someone that their story's not valid, or people commenting and saying that, oh, this is about Kayla, yeah, it is about Kayla. And that's why I'm sitting here coming out and backing her up. Okay? I'm not sitting here, I'm not trying to take her fame. I'm not trying to gain fame from this. I'm trying to spread awareness. I would never ever sit here and post something for fame. Not about this. But yeah, if you guys have any more questions or anything, please ask. I'd love to answer. But that's it for this video. I know I didn't really do as much as my other video that was posted, but I would re-upload it, but I already have 2 strikes on my account, and if I get a third one, I'm banned. And I'm not really trying to, I don't really know if I want to do that. So, if you guys do have more questions, please let me know. You should leave him. He doesn't love you. But that's it.
Now, I'm going to play some clips that are going to be very disturbing, y'all, of how this man abused her, because she had receipts. Like I said, I'm not gonna play all the receipts because it's a lot, but I'm gonna play the important ones, so y'all gonna see that right now.
Fucking bash my
Oh my god.
Good. Did you get fucked by big black niggas? I hope so, you fucking slut. Did you get fucked by big black niggas? I hope so, you fucking slut. Everyone on the road said, hey, give me next.
Fuck you. You keep hitting me. You broke my jaw.
You are so drunk.
You broke my jaw. You broke my jaw. I'm calling the police. You broke my jaw. You broke my jaw. You broke my jaw. I didn't do it.
What?
You're the biggest pussy I've ever met. I can't wait to your mom.
Sees what?
That you fucking broke my jaw and you hit me multiple times. And that you fucking broke the Fuck you, Evan. I did nothing.
I don't like you, bro. You're done.
Fuck you. Fuck you, Evan. Fuck you. Fuck you.
You're a fucking whore.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
Smell your pussy. Is it spreading? Is this spreading?
Fuck you.
I don't like you no more.
Ow!
Get the fuck away from
Fuck you, Evan.
Bitch, get the
Fuck you. Get the fuck away from me.
Get the fuck away from me. Get the fuck away. I'm trying to fix my broken hand from your side. I hope you enjoyed Broadway. I sat by a trash can waiting 30 minutes for your fucking ass. 30 minutes for your fucking ass. Where were you? Fucking by a black nigga. Probably fucking. Fuck you, bitch. I hope you fucking deserve it, bitch. Oh, look how spread that pussy is, bitch. Look how spread that pussy is. Look how spread that pussy is. Leave, bitch.
For what? For what? For what?
You're a slut. You're a whore.
Even though I just saved your life tonight?
Oh, you did? Look, where are you sleeping? Slut bag, bitch ass nigga.
Because of what you just did. Because of what you just did.
You're a whore, bitch. Your pussy's loose. You like my dick because I'm good. Shut the fuck up. All you ever wanted from me is sex, bitch. Shut the fuck up. I'm done. I'm going back to Nashville. You mean nothing to me. Nothing. Nothing, buddy. Nothing. Get your hair extensions. Get your nails done. I got TikTok, but damn my pussy's hella stretchy. Damn my pussy's hella smelly. Damn my pussy's hella purple. And yeah, it might look some certain way, but shit, still hit that shit. I'm a virgin. Matter of fact, I got 10 bodies, bitch. Times that by 10. You got damn near 1,000, you whore ass skank. I'll be gone in the morning. When I sober up, I'm gone.
Emma, can I come in?
Nothing to me. You're dirt water, bitch.
How do I get him out of my fucking room? I don't want him in there. He's gonna destroy my stuff. We're done. I'm like, actually cannot believe what the fuck he just.
have to a lot of white women who experience DV will tell you this, that when they're with that partner, they will bring up black men and throw them in their face and utilize that as a tool to demean them. If you have not listened to the Evan Johnson video, trigger warning, extremely violent. I feel so terrible for that girl. But most importantly, I want people to also understand that there is so much to unpack there. And I know a lot of white women will understand this. This goes to slavery. That's the mentality of you've been touched by a black man, or they think you have, or they want to accuse you of, and thus you are no longer worthy of them. That's a tool that they use. So whether they're black or Hispanic or whatever, if they're a person of color, they will utilize that as another way to psychologically demean that white woman. So this video of Evan Johnson does not surprise me at all, because they have this inferiority complex and they cannot handle it.
This was very hard to hear, y'all. It was extremely difficult to hear. My heart goes out to her. No one should have to go through this, y'all. Nobody. And I think that it was brave of her to share this experience with us, because I know a lot of women would not do that, especially being that she's such a public figure. She's on a public platform. There's a lot that comes with it, but she still decided to share her story. So I do commend her for that. Y'all notice the insidious nature of this man? The racism jumped out even when he was abusing her, y'all. She said, "You broke my jaw." And then he go talking about these black N-words. Did you like their black N-word dicks? That's what he was thinking about. That's what he wants. Y'all keep thinking I'm lying. When a man is obsessed with a black man and what he could... Because what does a black man have to do with this, y'all? And don't get me wrong. I am not defending black men, because Lord knows I got some stories coming out. But what does a black man have to do with this situation, y'all? What does a black man have to do with this situation? Because no, he wanted to degrade her. So he wanted her to feel less than. He wanted to degrade her because, remember, he called her loose pussy, stinky pussy. You have a loose pussy because you're sleeping with black men because they have big black dicks. So then that means that you're going to have a loose pussy, which is false, by the way. By the way, just letting y'all know. Okay? Let's be clear. It's very false. So, again, this toxic, misogynistic, and racist rhetoric. That leads me to believe that he wanted to get fucked by a black dick. Sorry for my French. I gotta be honest, y'all. We gonna be honest and transparent. That's what he wanted. He's projecting onto her. I feel like he was degrading her, but also he secretly wanted to have a black dick, because y'all gonna see what I'm talking about right now.
The 9 months we were together, she said the whole 9 months I was abusing her. Right? Why would we go out all the time and do all these crazy adventurous stuff if the whole time it was just terrible? If I was this terrible guy, why would she be with me? She could have left me at any second. She's way more up there than me. She has more money. Like, all this stuff, she don't need me. She don't need me. And if she figured I was no good for her in the time being, she would have left immediately. I promise you that. She exaggerates. And she figured out her views, or she's like, I need to make a series. I need to do something. And now that me and her broken up, it's like, does she really love me? Like, she's saying what she does behind the scenes to me. Like, I love you, I miss you. All this stuff behind the scenes. But then goes on there and tells you guys a whole different fantasy tale. I don't understand it. And abusive, mentally, I guess, I'm gonna hold myself accountable, and I hope we would say crazy shit to each other all the time, and I guess it came to a point where I was controlling, like, hey, I don't feel comfortable with you going out to the bars, or hey, I don't want to go out to the bars, let's stay home. And if that's controlling, that's crazy. I want to live a slow life and travel and just be us. We had to tag Emma along everywhere we went, because they wanted to do stuff together. They wanted to go out party. She said since she just turned 18, that's her first time going to bar life. Her and Emma both went to bars together. That's her bar buddy. And then she met me, and I'm like, I don't want to be in the party life. Alcohol is a big problem for me. 99% of our arguments were drunk related, like just insanely drunk, and we would argue and fight with each other and just call each other outrageous names and then apologize. And I was like, it got to a point where I was like, this is unhealthy. Like, I should not be calling you these names because I genuinely loved her, and I still do. And it's like, I don't know why I would call her those names. And I was like, I still have trauma. I have trauma from when I was younger that it only comes out when I'm drinking. Like, I become someone I'm not. And I'm like, I don't want to be that mean guy. I want to be that normal guy. I gave up drinking. I don't do any of that. I've been fixing myself, acknowledging myself, knowing what I did was wrong. And I don't think she's grown. She says she's growing. She still went out to party. She's still drinking. She's still doing all this. And she just goes on TikTok and says, like, my life's terrible. I'm actually me now. After saying how bad I was, after that, she immediately went and texted me and said, sorry, I had to do that. I'm texting another guy that's a big influencer, and he's like, she's literally doing that to get clout chasing. And this all happened when she went to Tampa. Like, we were still together. I was working on myself, and I was helping my family. What I fucked up in when she was in Tampa was lack of trust. I was immediately assuming that she was screwing this guy, because she had 2 guys over at the Airbnb. And that night, I was already just like, is she sleeping with him? Is she sleeping with him? I texted Emma's ex on the phone, was texting like, hey, let me know if this dude goes in the room with her. Let me know, please let me know. And Kayla's like, this is so obsessive. This is so crazy. Like, I'm done. Call me, drunk as shit, screaming at me, cussing at me. Fuck you. You're worthless without me. You are nobody, which I understand. She put me on the map. But at the same time, I can't deal with hate when I know I'm not the only one putting in. It takes 2 to tango. If you think I'm the only one that was abusive, she abused me so many times, would degrade me, it's all about her, never about me. I'm living in her shadows. Abuse. We'd crash out at each other at events, drunk, arguments, fuck you. Yes, I might have said some unnecessary things. I never meant anything I've ever said to her that was like hurtful. It was more in spite of a mean argument. And that's when I would do that. And yes, I'd be controlling. I'd be like thinking she would like mess with guys and stuff. That's just my insecure self and me not really putting myself first and really growing on myself. So I was like, I need to go back home and really lock in because I want you, Kayla. Like, I need to fix this thing where I see a recurring cycle where I'm putting you down for no reason. Like, I want to go fix myself. So I came back to Nashville. We're still together. I'm still working on myself. And she texts me. Even after we broke up, she texts me and calls me. If I really abused her as bad as she's saying, why would she still text me? Why would she still do the things she's doing? I don't understand. And watch, this is proof. Like, February 12th, 11:20 at night, she just snapped me again. I have her location, I have everything. Let's see what she did. And then she just sends me a snap, a regular snap. Like, what is that? And then she's like saying, after you work on yourself, maybe time can heal us and we can be together if it's meant to be. But how are you going to say these things yet go online and say something so terrible where you need you have PTSD, you can't look at guys? If that's the case, all I've ever done was I was insecure about myself. I don't know why she would be PTSD about guys. And one, therapy, she never even wanted to go to therapy. I was like, I need to go get therapy myself. Came back to Nashville. I'm in therapy right now. I'm doing therapy. That's because I wanted us to work. Now that I'm in therapy and I'm getting into modeling. And then another thing, it's like, she's like, it's like, I don't know if anyone's telling her advice, but like, I'm like, honestly, and I talked to my parents about this. It was like, in a relationship, I get that she's in the influence scene, and I get that she wants to like take things public, but at the same time, and it's not me being insecure on any actions, it's just like, that was our relationship. Yeah, we post relationship content and we post being together, but personal stuff I don't feel is necessary, especially to such a wide audience. All the ridicules and hates and all the twisted sides and everything, it snowballs into a huge thing, which I did not want to happen. And it's already happening off of this live. And it's so hard because I genuinely don't think no one's going to take my side besides people that really do know me. Those people will take my sides, but all the people that are fans of Kayla, they're going to support Kayla no matter what, which I know is what's going to happen. But always knows there's 2 sides to the story, and also know that it takes 2 to tango. If I was so bad, man, I can't say this enough. If I was so bad, and it's not trauma bond. It's not trauma bond. I did not do anything so traumatic that she's forced to be with me. At any moment in time, she could have easily left. Like, if it got so bad, she's like, okay, I'm done with this. Fuck this guy. If it got to that point, she would have left me. Point blank period. Or I would have. I felt like we were good, and then it got toxic. And a lot of more arguments. And I guess that's because we spent so much time together. We didn't have really breaks apart. And I really just needed to focus on myself. And that's why I'm back here. But it's like, I don't know. And then the PTSD, I think that's insane. I think that's more so people feel more sympathy towards her because she wants to make this thing seem so out of pocket. Like I said, I'm talking to someone that's really up there that's dealt with a lot of controversy. And he's telling me she's doing this for clout, which at the same time I don't get, because if you truly love me, why are you doing something to hurt me and just get clout and roll off of it and get views and turn it into a series because you have nothing else to post about at the time? Like, I don't understand that. And then you want to try to get back with me in the future or see if we can work it out, but then you go and do this. And I've not done anything wrong since I've came back to Nashville. Yes, we argued. Yes, I've said a lot of hurtful shit I should have never done. But for it to get to this point is kind of absurd in my opinion. But that's all I got to say for right now. I don't want this to escalate. I really don't want anything, because internet drama and shit, this is why I wanted it to be private, because internet is such a dangerous place. And there's so much hate. There's so much people, words, and it's just not healthy. And I want our relationship aspects to be private in that sense. Not hiding anything, more so just being private just for our benefit.
So y'all heard him, right? Okay, y'all heard his side of the story, and he's saying that she's exaggerating. Notice how he did not once apologize, and he did not refute the domestic violence allegations because she caught him in 4K. He couldn't refute that. So he's just coming out saying, oh, she's exaggerating. Oh, she's just being dramatic. Sir, you're a racist, vile piece of crap. You're scum. You're scum. And you're a reflection of what's wrong with our society. And unfortunately, I can't put all the blame on you because you were raised by two people. And I need to know who these people are. Bring that ass over here. Because you raised this monster. And now he's amongst us, terrorizing our daughters. Because he's just a representation of the type of men that young women fall in love with and see on a daily basis. You're raising these monsters. And then you release them amongst us in society. And then wonder why we have such high rates of everything. So now, come to find out, this man was spreading his pussy for James Charles, y'all. Allegedly. Because I don't want to get any type of lawsuit. But when Kayla came out with her allegations, a friend of Evan's came out by the name of Zach. I think he goes by the name of Zachy on TikTok. He dropped a bombshell on us, y'all. So allegedly, Kayla's a social media influencer and she was friends with James Charles. Yes, in case you guys don't know who James Charles is, he is a huge makeup influencer on YouTube. He's been in the game for a long time. And a few years ago, he was in some hot water because he was messaging 16-year-old boys, underage boys. But now, here he reappears in this story and we're like, what's going on? Why is James Charles' name being drug into this? Well, she was a friend of his, and when she was going through her situation, and she posted, "He doesn't love you," part 1 and part 2, James wrote to her. They're friends, right? So they started talking. He made a comment about how, can he take her man now that she's done with him? And they thought it was a joke or whatever. Come to find out, this man was serious.
At Coachella, literally last weekend, that a close friend of mine had basically really fucked me over in ways I could have never expected, and I got sent proof and receipts, and that person admitted it to me that they had done it. And I don't want to the thing is I don't want to talk about it because right now, for at least because I'm still healing, court's coming up, and this is probably the last thing like that. I'm not trying to make this thing a whole drama.
You're dealing with a lot. Like for everybody at home, like, I hope you guys realize that behind the scenes, like, she's dealing with real stuff. Like, she's sharing with you guys, pieces of the story, but she actually has to live this.
Hey guys, I'm back with part 2. I'm not sure if you guys watched the last video, but I did come out with a celebrity name, and if you guys did not see that video, you guys can go back and watch that. There's so much information, so it's going to take some time, to catch on. I will be posting receipts to Snapchat and Instagram. So I'm going to start with Evan flew to California to see and stay with JC on February 28th. He stayed until March 3rd. He was supposed to come home on Sunday, but got talked into staying an extra night so they could have, one last night to, hang out and rest and just chill around the home. I know that just because I was in contact the whole time with Evan while he was in California, and I knew a lot of information at that time. I received a message from Evan while he was in California because he was already, acting like he was, all, just the stuff, pretty much, because who he was staying the night with multiple nights and, whatever went on at JC's house. So the message, I do have everything, receipts, but the message that goes along with this was the lines of, this is coming from Evan, but since she has such a huge fan base, it's really hard to get my truth out. JC told me to be quiet as long as I can, no matter what. That come from Evan, and that was while he was in California. When he was in California, there was a lot of different phone calls, and I was getting Snapchats 24/7, so I was well aware of everything that happened in California while he was with JC. Your guys' biggest question is, how is JC involved with the Kayla and Evan situation? The reason that he's involved is because JC was already warned, told, and given information from Kayla the day that she broke up with Evan, that what he had done to her and how bad he was and how things got bad. There was a comment back to her, and it was along the lines, "Can I have him now?" Those lines were just, I guess she thought that was a joke, because, friends joke at that time. Kayla and JC have been friends. They've done, videos, collab together, and so on. So from that to him lying to Kayla, JC lying to Kayla and saying that he's not in contact with Evan, he doesn't speak to Evan, and a lot more stuff to that. I do have the receipts, but I'm not going to post the receipts on here. So the flight that Evan sent me, the boarding pass of him coming back from California, was he departed from Burbank, California airport at 1:06. So that's whenever he left. I picked Evan up once he got back to Nashville from that flight, and I'm sure it was a few hour flight. There's a lot more information that I do know because I was with Evan, you know, prior of him going to California, and I know some reasons, and he was begged to come to California, actually, and I do know that by you guys know who. There's a lot of information that I'm going to have to, you know, go in, and then once I'm talking about, you know, these things, and then once I post the receipts, you guys will understand. When Evan went to California, there was a phone call. I was on the phone actually with Evan, and there was a phone call that JC received from Kayla and said, hey, like around the lines, not word for word, but it was around the lines of, hey, I know this is a weird question, but by any chance, is Evan with you? And JC comes back to Kayla and said, no, why would he be with me? During that time, they were sitting right beside each other, literally right beside each other. So at that time, he was lying to his best friend that she trusted and lied and said that, you know, he hasn't talked to him and he doesn't know anything why, you know, Evan's in LA. Well, that's the point is he was hiding this from Kayla because he didn't want Kayla to know. He did not want anyone to know. He didn't want any fans to know or anything because he knew the story. Kayla opened up so much different information. I don't know exactly what she opened up and said to, you know, JC, but he was well aware why they broke up. And then after they broke up, he went straight after Evan and had to, you know, DM him. As you guys know, JC does not have Snapchat, and I'm not sure exactly why he doesn't have Snapchat, so JC uses Instagram as his quote-quote Snapchat. They would, you know, Snapchat 24/7 on Instagram and FaceTime every single night. The next video is going to talk about the stuff I witnessed on the FaceTime calls, and also what I witnessed, you know, as the pictures and photos that were sent on the Instagram. But I will be posting some of these receipts, but this is just, you know, somewhat of the next story, just because it's so long, and I'm trying to, you know, get the information out as quickly as possible to you guys, because I know you guys are waiting. But this is for justice for Kayla. And it was very hard for me to come here and go, you know, public with this. It took me days to think about, should I do this? But it's the right thing to do. And I feel that I'm not backing down. I don't care who this person is. I'm not going to back down from someone when they're in the wrong. I will call them out. If I was in the wrong, call me out. But everything I am speaking by is the absolute 100% truth. But I will be back with another part, but love you guys.
So now, allegedly, according to Zachy, because Zach was friends with Evan since childhood, and then Zach got big into modeling, and so Evan reached out to him because, remember, he lost his meal ticket. He reached out to Zach and was like, hey, I want to get into modeling too. How do I get into it? So this man is all about the money, because remember, he's not making any income from his business. He sees how much money you can make on social media. She put him on. And so now he wants to stay relevant because he knows these abuse allegations are coming to eat his behind up, because we're not going to stand for that. And mind you, James Charles, he has a lot of young fans that are women, young girls. Just remember that. And James Charles is a openly homosexual man. He's openly gay. Allegedly, he likes to mess with DL straight men. That's his type. He likes to take them away from women. That's what he likes to do. He likes men who, you know, the trade men, the men for trade. So while Kayla's pouring her heart out to him and confiding in him as a friend, he's plotting to get with Evan. So this whole time, this man was secretly repressing his homosexuality, y'all. And I'm not surprised by this, because the abusive behavior is a sign, especially when they're so hateful towards women. They can't stand women. Everything you do bothers them. They have a deep hatred for women. They don't even like other men taking care of women, because they try to demonize women as if we're the enemy instead of being their counterparts, right? So then now we find out that this man was spreading his bussy all over California. Spreading it wide. Getting his back broken in by James Charles, allegedly. So while he was abusing her and taking money from her, he was secretly hoping to be with a man. So now, Be Better. He's a very huge Canadian social media influencer. He kind of, does these business exposés. Be Better has a lot of good content. I would highly recommend that you guys follow him on TikTok. And I guess he's on YouTube now. So Zach, remember Zach exposed him on the TikToks, and then he had an interview with Be Better because he doubled down. He's like, oh, you trying to come after me, James Charles? So I actually spoke with a lawyer about this, and I'm going to keep talking. So he's doubling down, and you know what, Zach? I'm behind you on that. Kayla, Zach, all of y'all. Whoever is exposing this behavior, kudos to y'all.
Guys, okay, some crazy stuff's happening now. So I wanted to get on here and talk to you guys. My modeling agency received a crazy, insane email. Let's just say this email is from James Charles's team. They are now going after my career that I have worked so hard for just because I am speaking the absolute truth. They are now trying to silence me completely. They do not want me to speak another word about this situation. Let me just tell you what they kind of said. So, it said, apologies for the Friday evening email. My firm represents James Charles Dickinson, and I would love to have a frank discussion with you at your earliest convenience regarding your client, Zach Sellers. Is this not insane to you guys? James, what are you doing, bro? Like, you know what you did, and you know what I'm doing. It's speaking facts. Why are you having them try to come to me and shut me up? If this is what you want to do, take your legal action. James Charles Dickinson. Yes, I'm back on here, and I'm not going to give up on speaking on the absolute truth. Just want to let you know, I did get to speak to my legal team today. My legal team advised me what your legal team did was actually completely illegal, and she called it something as, what is this? What are they wanting to do? Do something under the table? Because if you're trying to go the legitimate way, they should have made a document, put it in writing, and sent it to my legal firm. On top of that, your legal team sent this email to both of my agent's emails, her personal and her business. How did you guys get her personal? So you guys were out to do something, but I can promise you, I am in completely safe and clear conditions. I also want to throw out there that I will be showing the email to you guys at the end of this because it's absolutely ridiculous of what he's trying to do and trying to hush me up. Bro, look into your legal team because they're not doing it the legitimate way. They either can file the papers and give them to me and we can get your whole phone data and you can see it in courts because you know you're guilty, or just leave it alone and face the consequences. But I am not going to give up. Right is right, and you're in the wrong. But anyways, I love all of you guys, and thank you guys for supporting. I just wanted to jump on here and, let him know that what he has done is wrong and not the right way, as my legal team has let me know. If the legal team is watching this, please, by no means, send a letter. Have all of your facts in a letter. We're not taking a phone call, because on a phone call, it's harder to use that as evidence in court. So go ahead and write your letter, send it to my legal team, and we can go that way. But again, I love you guys.
I am happy for you guys for exposing it. Even as young as you guys are, I totally appreciate this. I commend you for speaking out against this because, again, this could have been silenced, but they're choosing to speak out because we need more people to speak about this, including myself. And the more of us that speak out about this, he can't get us all now. He can't take us all down. The more that this is shared and this type of behavior is shared and exposed, the more that we can solve this issue and try to get rid of this kind of deviant mindset. So now Be Better had an interview with him, and he said that he witnessed Evan and James's relationship being very sexual, and he said it's 100% sexual. And he said that James Charles is 26 years old. Evan is 20. Predatory. So now we got the abuser abusing a young girl, and then we got the predator abusing the 20-year-old. This is wild. Wild. So then he said that he was on Evan's side until he saw Kayla's story because he didn't know. He just knew Evan was telling her, oh yeah, like da-da-da, and then he found out the real, and he was like, nah, you can't be harming women like that. I ain't with it. So he distanced himself from him. But he said that while he was friends with Evans, James Charles was sending pics with his behind out, allegedly. And that their relationship was 100% sexual in nature.
Hey guys, I wanted to jump on here because I'm getting a lot of messages saying, hey, like Evans made a of account and put it in his Instagram. But I want to explain the backstory of the actual account. So that account was made whenever Evan went to LA, and James is the one that brought that up to Evan and actually helped Evan make that account. So The account was always supposed to be exclusive completely only. It was never supposed to be like on platforms, but obviously I guess Evan's desperate, so he has to, you know, put that link out there to hopefully make some money off of this situation that's sickening. But so what James would do is James had like this fake account and he would support, you know, creators. So Evan would make like thirst traps and videos and then private message them into like James's like chat, and James like would click on it and pay for it because obviously there would be a charge, and it would be a crazy charge just because that was the way that James was telling Evan, like, I can support you if you do this, so like, you know, you can do it because obviously look at you, so this is a big thing. So if you guys go back and see from like the Snapchat that Evan posted on his story when he was in California, it was like taking care of business or something like that. Well, that's the business that they were taking care of, but Evan chickened out to make it public because he's like, I'm just gonna do this exclusive, and you know, James is my huge fan on here. James was like his only person on there buying his stuff at that time. But I just wanted to throw that all out there to you guys, but I love you guys.
Evan even got flued out, allegedly. Got drunk. James would call the house and all that stuff, and then, you know, while they was getting it in or whatever, there was a little snippet of a video and he heard him calling him daddy, allegedly. And then he said that Evan allegedly got drunk, and then he said all we did was jerk off together. Money is money.
James said, hello, I'm just now seeing these. I'm absolutely not on his side and would really, really appreciate it if you'd leave me out of this. I only ever spoke to him because he manipulated me into thinking his situation was similar to what I went through. That's very interesting to me because James Charles is 26 years old. He's a multimillionaire. He's very successful. I think in a lot of ways, in the way he conducts himself, he's not smart, but he's not a dumb person. The idea that James Charles was manipulated by a 20-year-old boy who can barely string a sentence together in the videos that I've watched, hard for me to believe. Yes. When he says he manipulated me into thinking his situation was similar to what I went through, I'm putting myself in James's mind to understand what he's suggesting. Is I think in James's mind, he was canceled for something that wasn't true. When he was canceled for messaging underage boys, I think his side of the story is he thought that they were 18, but he did acknowledge that he was messaging 16-year-old boys. So I'm not sure exactly how in his brain he's edited history to make it different than what it was. And then he says it was a really personal and sensitive topic that I had empathy for. Do you feel like James Charles was assisting Evan because he had empathy for him?
I feel that James Charles was helping him out because he wanted a relationship with Evan Johnson.
A physical relationship.
Physical relationship.
As soon as I saw Kayla's video, I felt disgusting and awful, and I've stopped responding to him altogether. Now, to me, that's interesting because we've obviously had private conversations. We've spoken extensively to Kayla.
So, I can't say much because I want to wait till after court. But I know. And, oh yeah, I've seen what's trending, and I've seen my For You page, and I've seen the comments. But yeah, I've known. But one step at a time, because as if dealing with like court and PTSD and like all that shit, as if that wasn't enough, that happened too. So it's been a really crazy week. Nothing feels real. Like every time I was like, oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. That was part of it. And I've been on the phone with lawyers all day. But I know. So yeah, there's not much I can say right now because I'm once again putting all my focus into court. I leave for Nashville in about 2 days. But yeah, I don't know. I am speechless. And watch who you trust. But yeah, as if him beating me wasn't enough.
And instead of trying to live in his truth, he was upset that he couldn't, because remember, we live in a hyper-masculine world. Being homosexual is still stigmatized. And again, I know everyone has religious beliefs, but the facts are facts. These men are living secret lives. So while he's beating on this girl and using her for everything she has, he's living out his fantasy because he wants to be taken care of. That's what he really wanted. He wanted a man to take care of her, because I best believe he ain't beat up on James Charles. I bet you that much. Because that's his real preference. That's what he wants. To highlight what I mean, because I am not a down low man or a homosexual man, so I don't know what it's like to be in that kind of mindset. But there's somebody on TikTok by the name of DL Whisperer. He's been causing a bit of a stir on TikTok. And, you know, people are coming at him, calling him a CIA psyops and being mad at him for exposing these DL men. And I say kudos to you, DL Whisperer. We need to expose them. Expose them. And I know some people are like, well, you can't out anyone. First of all, you can't out people who are in the closet but are not doing anything wrong. He's outing men who have wives and girlfriends who are abusing their girlfriends and wives and coming back and sleeping with other men. That's what he's exposing. Let's make it very clear. So we're going to hear what he has to say about a lot of these men who have this kind of mindset. Especially for those of you who are out there dating, this is what you got to look out for. Very important information I'm about to share right now.
What breaks me is people try to act like I say one thing makes somebody DL, but when you add everything up that I say, I bet he be DL by the end of it. And that's what I always say. By the end of it, they're DL. You see that violence in that last video I just posted? That's what I'm saying. You're going to deal with that. If you decide to stay with the man that you think is DL, or if you're dealing with a DL man, they get very, very violent. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Luckily, I'm still here today. Scary part is there's too many women that have men. Like, imagine you the man, like you fucked that man. Like, no, this is not, listen, I get it. Y'all, the masculinist is jumping out. I get it. But come on. No. Don't you want a quality man? You mean to tell me a quality man is going to be a man that you can bend over? That's going to be a man that's going to protect you, that's going to hold you, that's going to keep you secure at night? No, you're the security, boo. You're the man. And to elaborate more on being desperate, when I say that, that's not a dig. What I mean is that some women understand the balance of power. Like I told one of my friends yesterday, because she was coming off desperate, I'm like, men sleep with who they can. Women literally pick who they want. I was like, so the control is always in your hand. And I hate to say, like, it's only about that, but let's be clear. Most men are raised to think that women are just objects for their pleasure. So that's why I told women, hold the pleasure and see what you do. Because most of the time, like, a hole is a hole to them. A body is a body. They just want a big booty. They don't care about the face. If the face is good, cool. They just care about the body. So that's why I say, like, it's easy for them to go after the desperate women that don't realize that they're actually the prize. Because as a woman, you should never see a man as a prize. You're the prize. He literally... So if your man is DL, so as I'm doing my job, this is something I want to tell y'all. DL men typically are going to have either 1 or 2 relationships with their mom. Either they're going to be very close, an unhealthy level of close, like a mother's boy, or they're going to be very estranged. That's one of the things I'm going to ask you. So if your man, so I got a little bit of time, so I wanted to give y'all some more information. This is for women. If you're with a DL man, more than likely he's going to make you be masculine, and he's going to be the woman, meaning that he's not going to be a provider. You're going to be providing. You're going to have to do things that you possibly wouldn't do. Like, you're going to have to really be masculine. Like, what I always see in DL men when they deal with women, they typically go for the women that will do anything for them. Meaning that you might not even like to play in a dude back door, but now you feel like, well, I got to do it because this is my man. He's literally making you masculine. The DL dudes are always going to prefer a masculine woman. And if they get with a woman that's very feminine, it usually doesn't last because those type of women usually see right through it and they're not desperate to keep a man. Okay, DL men love desperate women.
I've worked with men throughout my entire life. I've been there when they have came out of the closet and they've confessed to their wives that they were down low the entire time. But what are the signs of a man who is down low? I've gotten that question quite a bit. So I'll give you guys a couple signs from seeing it myself firsthand in my experience of working with men who are down low and seeing their behaviors and patterns. Being down low is not a good thing because you're lying to not just yourself but to others as well. You're not being authentic and you're sharing a life with a woman who thinks you're straight when in reality you're doing other shit with other men and you're fooling her. That ain't cool. So one of the main signs of a man who is DL is an over-exaggerated sense of masculinity. Overly exaggerated macho, this dude who is hyper masculine, he does never want to even seem feminine ever. That's one of the biggest signs of a man who is DL. A motherfucker who's always feeling like he has to compete with other men and show his aggressiveness, his strength, to show them how much of a man he is. That motherfucker right there might be down low, very likely. Always feeling like he has to prove himself to other men because he is trying to cover up for something. Overcompensation is another big one. Have you ever noticed somebody who's too damn loud when it comes to being attracted to the opposite gender? It's like they're trying to mold into a particular way of being to make you think how much attracted they are to the opposite gender. Again, trying hella hard to go out of their way to prove how manly they are. A man that is truly secure within himself does not have to go out of his way to prove to others that he is secure within himself as a man. Another very likely sign is if they're not too active when it comes to affection and intimacy with you. And that is probably because they're doing it with somebody else. And it could be because they don't like you since you're a woman. That's what's going to happen if he's down low. If he's down low, he ain't going to want to do shit with you because he's doing it with other dudes. So if your man is not affectionate to you and does not get intimate with you, that is a huge red flag, especially if he doesn't bring it up and talk about the issue as to why he's not intimate with you. Why would he not want to do it with you as a woman? Think about it. And one of the biggest signs of a man who is DL is they always are constantly joking around with the gay jokes around other straight men. But with actual gay men, they don't do it at all. They don't joke around like that with gay men the same way that they do with straight men. And that's because it's a cover-up. Of course, they're not going to joke around like that with the gay men because then everyone's going to start to think they're actually gay. And that's going to blow their entire cover of being down low. And that's something that they can't afford to do because they have to keep it hidden. Think about it.
Here are some tips on how to find out if your man is down low and he's also a narcissist. These two things usually go hand in hand. A lot of narcissistic people are down low. A lot of narcissistic men are down low. Here's my experience, and here are some tips on how you can find out if you're dealing with someone who is down low and you already know that they're a narcissist. And if anything I say in this video matches your man's, run. When I say run, run. This is my personal experience, and these are the ways that I found out that the person I was dealing with was not only narcissistic, but he was down low, okay? One of the things is jealousy. These people are very, very jealous. They are jealous of their partners, and they pick these partners. First of all, they like really successful people, beautiful people, accomplished people, popular people. Just, they like the best of the best. They will go out of their way to be involved with you, and then once they're involved, they become jealous. And their jealousy would show in the way they talk to you. Let's say, for example, you're a very, very pretty girl. They are going to do everything in their power every day to tell you that you're not pretty. They're going to call you ugly. They're going to call you fat. They're just going to say things to bring down your self-esteem. If you go to take pictures, maybe you ask them, hey, what do you think about this picture? They'll tell you it's the worst picture ever. And sometimes they do it in a passive aggressive way, but you just have that feeling in your heart that, okay, this is not normal. That's them. They are very, 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 very jealous. If you are an accomplished person, if you're a popular person, if you are a likable person, they're jealous of that. They're going to diminish your accomplishments because they're jealous. If you have a public reputation, they're going to try to tear it down. Or if they're not in the space to tear it down, they're going to discourage you from doing the things that you do to make you popular. They are going to again, try to downplay or diminish your successes and your beauty and your likability just to bring you down to their level. Another way to find out if these men are down low and narcissists is that they are very, very sassy. When I say sassy, these people will argue with a woman from today till yesterday. And most of the time they start the argument. They enjoy arguing with women. They'll start the argument and they will win the argument because they're not going to lose. Sassy men are down low men. And before I even forget, a lot of times people think, oh, he's so masculine, he's so tall, he's so this. These are the best narcissists and down low men because everybody thinks that it can never be them. So they do a better job getting away with it, which is the same situation with the Serena couple. Everybody keeps saying, oh, the guy looks so masculine, he's so handsome, he's so tall, he can never be. And now there's a video out of him having, doing the thing with another man, and everybody's shocked. These are the men who get away with these things because nobody suspects them. Okay? And like I said, there are signs, and the signs are only seen by the people they mess with, like, their partners and their family. Their family know. Their family know. And if you're the newbie and just coming in, they're looking at you funny because they're like, how does she not know? And is she okay with it if she does know? So the family know. You come in looking like Boo Boo the Fool, at least in my case, and you end up finding out otherwise. So yeah, they are very, very, very feminine and sassy, not appearance-wise, but just their behavior. They will start an argument. Even if they didn't start the argument, they're going to win. You're not winning an argument with these men. And I say men because I don't see them as men. They are girlier than you would ever think. Okay, another sign is if they're friends with other men who are openly gay or bisexual. A masculine man, he may have a family member or a son or a friend who's gay, but they're not 100% involved with that person because they, I guess, don't want to be associated. And not saying that being gay is a bad thing. Let me clarify that right now. I have multiple gay friends. I love, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. What I'm saying is the people who hide behind masculinity and treat women horribly, but when they actually are attracted to men and they, exhibit narcissistic behaviors and also treat their partners the worst, but are hiding behind masculinity. These are the people I'm talking about, and this is the one person I've dealt with, and you guys already know who it is. But anyway, yeah, another sign is that, again, they are friends with an openly gay person. Like mine had a best friend who was gay. They're always hanging out, shirts off, singing to rap music, doing all the motions. Why are you hanging out with a man who's openly gay on a daily basis with your shirt off? That's a sign. Don't ignore that. That's a sign. No masculine straight man is that comfortable in the presence of a gay or bisexual man. Okay? They're just not. Another sign is that they are, did I already say jealous? I said the jealous part. Another sign is that they are going to mirror you. These people want to be you. They don't want to be like you. They want to be you. So again, if you're a nurse, if you are a content creator, if you're an influencer, if you are a doctor, whatever you are, they're going to try to become that. Not only that, they're going to try to tear you down in order to become that. So they basically want to take your place because they have no personality of their own. They have no identity. So when you come into these people's lives, you think you're a regular person. You think, oh, there's nothing special about me. There is something special about you, baby girl. And that's why they chose you. And when they choose you, just the who you are, the person that you are intimidates them, and they want to tear you down for that. So they'll try to become you. Again, if you're a content creator, all of a sudden they want to content create. Not only that, they're going to use their content to tear you down. And you're going to think, oh, it's a partnership. Nah, it's not a partnership, baby girl. They want to be you. They don't want to be like you. They want to be you. These are the most vindictive, jealous people you will ever meet. But the sad thing is they have no identity of their own, no personality of their own. So they have to use yours, suck you dry, and then blame you for their shortcomings. These people are always the victim. They are always their victim. Accountability is something that is not in their vocabulary. Like, they are an angel, they're the victim. They will be in multiple messed up situations, but if you ask, it's always the other person's fault. If they've been married before and they got divorced, it's the ex's fault. If they have kids that they're not taking care of, it's because the ex is not allowing them to take care of that kid. If they went through a breakup, it's the other person. They are notorious victims. Notorious. Another sign is when you guys get ready to go out. If you take 5 minutes, they take 10 minutes. If you take 10, they take 50. These people, they're always in a competition with you, regardless of if you're a girl or if you're their woman. They are in a competition with you, and they have to look better than you at all times. They have to look better than you. So if you're taking time to get ready, just know that they're going to take even more time, and that's a normal thing for them. Another sign is everybody who knows you and them are going to hate you. Why? Because they will take every chance they get to talk dirty about you. Their family hates you, their friends hate you. They'll even try to get your family and friends to hate you because they'll tell them all kinds of disgusting things about you. And they are notorious at rewriting history. They will rewrite history so good that even you will sit there and say, wait, maybe that's how it happened. Maybe I'm the problem. But if you guys want to hear more, especially about my personal experience, how I found out, and the specific things that made me find out and pack my ish and left, let me know. Comments, series down below. Maybe I'll turn it into a series.
So y'all saw that. Listen, it doesn't help anyone when someone is in that kind of mindset and repressing their sexuality. That's what I have seen over the years. And again, regardless of how you feel, because I know a lot of people gonna come up in my comments, God hates it, God doesn't want it, God doesn't need it, da 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 da. Look at what happened in the Catholic Church when they were repressing themselves. How many boys were sexually abused? We're not gonna talk about that though. How many men and families are abusing young women and children? They are sexually repressed. This is an issue, y'all. And so we need to get to the bottom of it. And so what I can say is this, lessons from this case study. We need to do better as a society. I don't know what the solution is, to be quite honest with you, but there's something going on here. And the more that these men are sexually repressed, whether they are straight or gay, the more that we're going to see these violent outbursts and situations happening. Why are we not teaching young men to be able to express themselves and live in their truth? This is a problem. And women are just the punching bags. We have been and we will continue to be if we don't solve this issue. At the sign of a first red flag, please leave the relationship. Especially something like this. This man had nothing going for himself. He had no ambition, no job, no redeeming qualities at all. Another lesson we can learn is please heal, y'all. Please, I will say that in every video. Get some therapy. My young ladies start getting therapy. Even in school, they have school counselors. This young woman was very young. She had enough money to go to a therapist, but she didn't think about that. Don't be afraid to go to therapy, especially if you recognize that you have some issues and that you have patterns that are attracting you to a certain type of men. That should be a clear sign to go get some help. Do not move quickly from one relationship to another. And please do not get into a relationship or seek love after a traumatic experience. Her abortion definitely played a significant role in this, and also the fractured relationship between her and her father. We have to do better, y'all, as far as healing ourselves and taking care of ourselves before we can get in any relationship with a man. Because once you're healthy and you operate from a healthy place, then you're able to get into healthier relationships, because an Evan would never attract you. You would never be attracted to a man like that. Another lesson from this case study is please expose and speak out. If you have a platform, if you want to share your story, because the more that we learn from each other, the more that we can prevent this situation from happening. Sis said that she wished that she had watched a video like hers before she went through her situation, because she would have known the red flags to look out for. Our parents are failing us. Some of our parents have failed us when it comes to dating in life. I know mine's did. And hers clearly did too. And not everyone has that guidance. So this is another lesson. Let's be a community for those who need us. Let's stop condemning them and victim blaming them and saying, oh, you shouldn't have done this. You shouldn't have dated him. You shouldn't have done this. It's already done. All we can do is warn others after them not to go out and do the same thing. But what we have to do is we have to be there for each other and support each other and love on each other, because we're really all we got, y'all. We're all we got as women. I'm sorry to say that. We're all we got. And it's very sad because even the authorities can't even take care of us. So who else will, right? And our young girls are the future, y'all. So let's do better, y'all. Let's do better. Let's try to make a better world for the future generation so that we don't have any more Kaylas, where our response is strong and loud, and where we expel this kind of behavior and expose it when it needs to be exposed, so that we can have a better world for our daughters and our sons. Now, on that note, thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, take care of your beautiful selves. And until next time, bye.